Hi, I'm Katie, and this is Fae and Fables, a podcast hosted by mental health counselors who take a psych deep dive into your favorite fantasy and romantasy books. Today, we are going to review Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry, which is the first book in the Shield of Sparrows trilogy, and the only book out in the series as of this recording. And I am so excited because today I am joined by my good friend and a licensed clinical professional counselor, Emily, who owns her own private practice and also is obsessed with romantasy books. I've said it once and I'll say it again. We're out here, us clinicians, and we're obsessed. So, Emily, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Emily. Katie, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm so excited. I've been excited for forever. Forever, ever since you asked me. I have a private practice. I'm a counselor licensed in Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. And I work primarily with people who've been through trauma and a lot of people who've been through like really high control relationships or situations, whether that's, actual like romantic relationships or I do a lot of religious trauma. So high control religions is kind of my forte. And I come from a family of librarians. Both of my mom's parents were librarians. So I grew up reading and being read to. And as a kid, I don't know if you did it, but the Book It program growing up, like in elementary school.
The Book It program? What is the Book It program?
Okay. I don't think they do it anymore, which is a travesty. So Pizza Hut had a partnership with school systems, at least in Idaho. I don't know if this is a national thing, but if you read a certain amount of books, I think it was 10, but I'm old, so I don't remember the exact number. If you read a certain amount of books, you would get a coupon from your teacher, and you could go to Pizza Hut and you would get a personal-sized pizza for reading books.
Oh my God.
If that is not motivation to read,
you don't know what it is.
No.
Okay, either we didn't have that or I don't remember it. If I don't remember it, I'm ashamed because I was out here reading and I wasn't getting any coupons for that.
You missed out. You missed out on some really, really great
some personal sized free pizzas.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. I also did not realize that you are licensed in 4 different states.
Yeah. So it started when I had a client in Idaho who was moving to Utah to go to college. And we had this really great rapport. And she was just like, please don't make me find someone else. And I looked into it, and licensure is kind of a dumpster fire as far as state to state.
Reciprocity.
For counselors. And so with Utah was by far the worst and most difficult, and also the first one. So Arizona and Nevada, super cake. But I had already gotten my clinical license in Idaho. So I had worked 2+ years, gotten a bunch of hours, taken another exam, and proved to the board and the powers that be that I know what I'm doing. And so
you've been out here like all these years, all over these states with your personal free pan pizzas and all your licenses, just making it happen.
Just living my best life, helping people where I can and broadening that horizon.
Well, I am so grateful that you are bringing both your expertise in the Book It program and also in clinical work to our story today. And I'm just really looking forward to analyzing this with you. We've been nerding about this book for weeks. I was sending voice memos the day I finished this book being like, oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, that happened. So we've been geeking out about it, and we are so stoked to chat about it today. And before we get into all of that, it is important that I go through all of our disclaimers and our spoiler warnings. First and foremost, please note that this episode contains spoilers for Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I hope that would be, based on the nature of the show, you might know that. Additionally, Several potentially triggering emotional and or traumatic themes may be discussed, which could be impactful or upsetting. Adult language and themes are used in the discussions of this book, so please make sure to take care of yourself and use caution if you are not in a place to engage in these conversations. Furthermore, this podcast is hosted by 2 licensed mental health counselors, but it should not be used to diagnose, treat, or address any individual mental health concerns or conditions. The knowledge, opinions, and experiences that we express related to mental health are our own and should not be applied as treatment. This is just for fun. If you feel like you need mental health treatment, please seek out your own individualized mental health care. And then our order of events, we have our rankings and our ratings where we're going to rate the book based on stars and chili peppers. The plots and thoughts analysis, we're going to go through the plot in depth with our sort of psych perspective. Our teehee moments, which is just anytime we got Twitter pated or felt butterflies or anything. Our therapy deep dive, where we expand out into the real world context, and our future thoughts and theories, which we won't have an answer for until April, but we're gonna say them anyway. So, you ready to go, Emily?
I'm ready.
All right. First and foremost, what were your star and your chili pepper ratings, and why? Why did you rate it the way you did?
I gave Shield of Sparrows a 5 out of 5. I read this, I'll be real, I read this right after Quicksilver. I needed something to keep me going after that first book. And by far my favorite book that I read in 2025. Like I loved it. It was it was a slow burn, like very much let's build, let's create this world. But I loved it. I loved it. Favorite book, great character development. I really could relate to some of the things with the main character, and I think that's part of why I loved it. And then as far as chili peppers, it got a 1.5. Just cause I've read much more spicy, and I've read no spice, and I felt like it was a good introduction into what I hope to see in the next 2 books.
Yes. We had very similar ratings. I also did a 5 out of 5. I love that this was your favorite book of the year and that we're getting to review it together, because that's just exciting to me. I almost gave it a 4.5 out of 5 because I thought there were a couple of points that lulled a little bit. Like, I'm a person where when I'm reading a book, show me, don't tell me. I don't want to hear long internal monologues on what's going on with you. Just like, show me what's happening and indicate to me physically what you're feeling. So instead of being like, I was so frustrated that my fists were clenched, I like it better when it was like, I had to unclench my fists. And I could make an assumption about what that means, but there's just physical action to it. So there were a couple of points where I thought Odessa's inner monologue went a little bit long for my liking, but I ended up with a 5 out of 5 just because I thought the lore, the character development, there were really strong arcs that I could track for multiple characters, and I thought it was very thoughtfully done. As far as chili peppers, I hovered between 1.5 and 2. I'm similar like you. I've read Dragon's Shifter smut, which we did review. If y'all haven't gotten the chance, go back to the what was it called? The Dragon's Bride episode. That I've read some things. I've seen some things in my time. So I couldn't rate it very highly. Also, the slow burn was slow burn. And so I couldn't give it a high rating, but I thought when the smut was occurring, whenever I rate chili peppers, it's like I'm trying to rate for both quality and quantity, and I thought the quality was quite good, so it bumped me up to a 2, but it stayed pretty low because of the quantity of it. We didn't get to see a whole lot of chicanery within this video, and I, like you, am hopeful that Devney Perry, I like in book 2, they're together now. Everybody's together now. So
we don't have to wait.
There's no more waiting. There's no more tension. She's your wife, and she knows it now.
Right.
So let's get busy. Well, I'm glad that we had similar Star and Chili Pepper ratings. Are you ready for our plots and thoughts analysis?
Ready.
All right, let's do this. So, and I do have some notes in our things like which gods relate to what, and I'm not going to get into that right at the top, but what I will start with is Odessa Cross. Odessa Cross is our female main character, and she is the first daughter of the king of a kingdom called Quentis. Also, sidebar, I read this physically. I didn't listen to it. So if any of my pronunciations are off, it is me. I'm the problem, just so you and everyone else know that. So feel free to correct me, Emily, if you know.
There are a few. I will tell you really quickly. I got this on the Libby app to listen to as I read it the second time. And then life got in the way and I lost, I didn't finish it. And then it's like, 2 people are waiting. We're taking this back. And I got about halfway through and I was like, well, okay, I know how to say some things for sure, and other things, we're going to guess.
Okay, so if you hear me say something wrong, just correct me, because I'm going off of just full physical, book read. So Odessa Cross is the daughter of the king of Quentis, meaning she's the princess of Quentis. And this is a kingdom in the southeastern part of a continent called Calandra. That's how I said it. Okay, perfect. She is described as having this curly, wild red hair that her stepmother makes her dye brown, and these golden eyes. It's important to note that eyes are important to the story and to the lore of this world. And hers are different from everyone else. Just her and the main male character, the Guardian, have different eyes. But everyone else has these bursts of color coming sort of from the center of their iris based on the country that they're from. And Odessa does not. Hers are purely golden. There are no starbursts in the center of her eyes. And the MMC, the Guardian, has eyes that change colors from green to hazel to silver based on his moods. So you already know, given the red hair comment and the eyes comment, that she's kind of set apart from folks. And at the start of this book, she is betrothed to Banner, who is her father, the king, the king's general. Her mother died previous to this story, and she lives with her stepmother, and Queen of Quentis. Her name is Margot. Her half sister May, and her half brother Arthelaus. That was another one that threw me for a loop. But she calls him Arthi, so he doesn't really come up again.
I was disappointed by that side note. I wanted to know more about Arthi.
Arthi, where is he? What is he doing? She misses him. She does. In this world, there are 8 gods: the father, Oda, the mother, Amma, and their 6 children of various names, but they are the gods of mischief, death, peace, luck, love, and war. And the mother and the father love humans so deeply that the 6 children gods get jealous, and they use their power to create beasts that roam Calandra, magical beasts. And most fearfully, the Crux. Crux are these giant birds that migrate once every 30 years, and when they do, they just go around murdering people. All they want is death and destruction. And all of the kingdoms of Calandra struggle with this. And in order to try to keep peace and trade between nations and to try to help protect each other from the Crux every 30 years, they have an agreement called the Shield of Sparrows. Once every generation, a princess and a prince of different countries are married to maintain peaceful relations, and the union is bound in magic. And during this round of marriage contracts, Odessa's sister May is slated to be the Sparrow to another country called Tura, their Prince Xavier. And what's supposed to happen is they're supposed to get married on the equinox. I will say, when I thought about the fact that 4 or 5 kingdoms are all marrying into one another, it gave Habsburg to me. It gave European monarch interbreeding to me a little bit, but they didn't question it. And at the top of the story, Odessa's father hires Turin warriors to take care of what are called marrow eels. And please note, there are so many beasts that are discussed with various different names. I struggled so hard remembering which beasts were what and what they did.
Same.
Yeah. I had to go back time and time again. I had to be like, wait, is it called a Beowulf? It's like I had to go back and keep referencing their names and what they did. And the marrow eels have been cutting off supply lines from Quentis to other countries, so he invites Turin warriors and the Turin prince to his castle to pay for their services. And when they show up to the throne room, the guardian, a fierce warrior who is with the Turins, speaks for Xavier. So this is important to the plot. Xavier himself does not speak. The guardian speaks for Xavier. And Xavier says that he will have Odessa and not May. We find out much later there was this whole scene where Odessa jumped off a cliff to be free, and somebody important saw that and was like, she's the one. So there's reasons that we don't know at the time and that Odessa doesn't know at the time, but it seems to everybody's shock and dismay that the guardian says Xavier wants Odessa and not May. The king, Margot, May, they are furious. They are totally taken aback by this, including Odessa. Odessa's like, this is not, I'm like the forgotten princess, not me, please not me. But they invoke what's called the Chain of Sevens, which is the slaying of 7 beasts, to enforce his choice of bride. So they're saying, we brought you 7 marrow eels. This is the Chain of Sevens. You must abide by this. He also demands that the wedding happen immediately and not on the equinox. And again, the whole family fights it, but they can't fight the Chain of Sevens. They can't fight the magical bonds that are being sort of sewn. So she grabs all of her belongings, her dresses, which are all gray because her stepmom's making her dress in gray and dye her hair brown. Gross. Her hair dye. And interestingly, a pendant with a wing that she found under the floorboards in her room. And she feels super grounded and good when she wears this pendant. That factoid never gets resolved. So I'm putting that there because I think it will be important.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah, but and she references the pendant several times, so there's other things that point to the pendant, but I wanted to highlight that here at the top. And then right after the ceremony, she signs the Shield of Sparrows and they have to leave. And so I'm curious, Emily, at the top of the book, what do you notice about Odessa's character and her role in her father's court right at the start? And then how do you think her upbringing contributes to her sense of self at the start of the story?
I think going along with what you were saying, I mean, she is the forgotten princess. She's just kind of there. She's the girl from the king's first marriage. And we don't really know if she reminds Margot, her stepmother, she reminds me of the first queen and I'm queen. We don't know, which is kind of obnoxious to me. I want to know all of the things.
Yes.
But she's the forgotten princess, which is cool, but she's invisible. She is just, nobody knows where she is. Like you were talking about, she like leaps off of a cliff into the water before this huge event at the castle, and nobody knows where she is. Nobody really cares. Like she just does her own thing. And I think that in part of this beginning piece of kind of that panic when, the Guardian comes in, Guardian and Xavier come in, and the Guardian voices of, we don't want May, we want Odessa, of just this overwhelming feeling of, okay, I have to do this for my father. I'm going to do this to please him, to prove myself, to show that I can have some kind of value to this whole organization of everything. And I think she wants that. She wants her father to love her. She wants that acceptance. And I think that kind of moves into, I'm not going to have feelings. I'm just going to go. I'm going to do what I'm asked. And then I'll come home and it will be great and it will be wonderful. And then we kind of learn throughout as the story progresses, how she changes and how she kind of comes into her own being able to be authentic and be okay with not pleasing everyone else, not having to stay in the background. She can come up and she can be herself. She can do what she wants, and that's appreciated.
Yeah.
Rather than just stay back, child, woman, get out of here.
Yes. I love that you highlight almost her complacence. Now, she's shocked like everybody else is. She's like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this, all this stuff. But I don't feel like it ever occurs to her to not do what her father says or to not go along with what's happening here. And I even see this in the way that her and Banner interact when they're on the top of the cliffs. Banner, like, as they're talking, she asks intuitive questions. She's asking questions to Banner to like help her understand what's happening. And Banner gets really pissed at her and is like, what the fuck do you know about any of this? And she backs down. She's like, you're right, I don't. And she says like, oh, I know, with men in this castle, like if you don't back down to them, then it just makes them even madder. So I'm just going to back down because like, what do I know? And it's this like assumption of a lack of power or assumption that, oh, they're right. I wouldn't know. And I wouldn't do the right thing if given the choice. So, and as we see in the story, this very much changes as she sort of like goes through her arc. The Shield of Sparrows and the signing of that and the ceremony are overseen and protected by the Vosters. I have so many thoughts about the Vosters. Oh my God.
I want to boo and hiss right now, but I am refraining.
Feel free to boo and hiss as much as you want because they deserve every boo and hiss there is in my book. I have such strong feelings about them. They're essentially the magical priests of this world. And they are the only humans, it seems, who have magic, and they look creepy as hell. They have pale skin, no hair, and this is the most insane and disgusting part of it. And I can't even I almost want to ask Devney Perry. I want to be like, did you just think of this and then you went, yep, I think this will be good. They have long toenails and fingernails as long as snakes. Like she says, snake-like fingernails and toenails that are green and these deep green irisless eyes. What the fuck what do you mean toenails and fingernails? I was aghast. I was agog.
I think it's so funny because Devney was so descriptive. But then talking to you about it, we created such different visuals in our minds about it.
Emily sent me a picture of salad fingers.
If you don't know what that is, please take a walk down memory lane and Google that shit because you will have nightmares. Even better if you watch the Rusty Spoons video. Those are the Voster to me. But then, God. you had this other visual.
Yeah, I had you ever see the Guinness World Records book of the guy with the longest fingernails ever?
It is exactly what you were talking about.
I feel like that peak millennial salad fingers and the Guinness World Record book. That is, and one of them floats, and so I picture his fingernails and toenail. I picture his toenails dragging on the ground.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm so curious what that was about for Devney and why we did that. But you know what it did? It made them creepy and weird. She did it. So
well done, Devney.
Great work. You wanted to weird us out a little bit and make them creepy. You did it, girl. Congrats.
Yep. 10 out of 10.
And what's important other than their fingernails is the fact that Odessa has a extreme reaction to them, I would say, beyond what other people are experiencing. No one seems,
Right.
I mean, they all look at the Vosters and they know they're creepy, but she seems to have this sense within herself that anytime a Voster is around, their magic just grates on her. It's like a high-pitched ringing or nails on a chalkboard. Like, it really affects her. She does not like to be around them, and she can feel their magic and it hurts. This also does not get resolved totally. More questions for book 2 and April 7th, 2026. But she doesn't like the Vosters beyond just how they look. She just does not like to be around them, and so she avoids them at all costs. And I think in many ways, Xavier selecting and sort of forcing this ceremony throws a wrench into the King of Quentis's plans. He had been training his other daughter, May, for years to be the Sparrow, and significantly to be a spy for him. And Odessa's father tells her that he's like giving her the Spark Notes version, basically, of what she's supposed to do. He's like, listen, I've been training May to do this. I have no time to train you. I have to just give you this information and hope that you do as I tell you. Her father tells her that she has to find the location and the information about the mysterious capital of Tura called Alisaria, and that he wants her to find out about the Guardian's powers. The Guardian clearly has magical abilities and other things that we're going to get into that go beyond what is usual for humans. He also tells her to kill the Guardian if she can, that if she does this, her father may be able to stop the Crux, although he doesn't explain to her how that would happen. He just says, listen, I can stop the Crux, I can make things better, you just have to do this for me. And Odessa really badly, as you said earlier, Emily, wants to learn his trust, and she feels like no one really has faith in her. Like, she takes her father's lack of information giving to her as a sign that he doesn't trust her with it. And so in order to be someone that her father can trust, she agrees. She's like, yes, I will do as you say, and I hope to earn his trust. And go
kind
ahead.
of with that really quick. Also, I thought it was so interesting that like kind of this, and you might be getting there, but like this series of like goodbyes, like her father sits down, hey, this is what's going on, Margot, whatever, but like May's kind of a raunch to her. Like she is not nice. Like it's almost, going with what you're saying, no one believes Odessa's going to be able to do this. May trained for years. You have no idea. And just kind of this idea of what a way to like fill Odessa with hope of like, yeah, I can do this. It's like, no, nobody, it's very, very clear that no one in her family thinks that she's going to be able to do this. And maybe I'm being too general. May for sure is like, no, girl.
I had such mixed feelings about May because there was something about their dynamic that felt sibling-y to me. I have a brother. I don't have a sister, so I don't know the sister bond, but I do know a sibling bond. And there was something like, I forget how Odessa said it. She's like, me and May are kind of at each other constantly for different things, but at the end of the day, like, we have each other's backs at certain things and we love each other. And I think there was a moment with May where you saw she like hugged her to her and was like, I'm gonna miss you, and there was some kind of like sibling connection or warmth, but I think that was very much superseded by who May is as a person, which is more indicative of what you're talking about, where she was like, like, Odessa's a lost cause. She's like, the way she sends her off is kind of like, just don't fuck up, okay? Like, just like, you've got it, but just you can't mess this up. And it never, I don't know if the warmth part of that comes from Odessa's perspective, like Odessa's infusing more warmth into that than there actually is, because I also thought the goodbyes from the family were meh, not great.
And no goodbye to Arthi. Fuck this shit. That's bullshit.
And where is Arthie? And her stepmom's like, yeah, he's napping. It's like, yeah, wake him up. Like,
he can
this
nap
is the
in your
last
arms.
Yeah, this is the last time probably that Arthie's gonna, you know, in their minds, it's like this may be the last time that you ever see him. So yeah, the goodbyes left a lot to be desired. But in the end, Odessa and her two maids, Jocelyn and Brielle, get on the Cutter, which is one of 3 Turin ships that they brought, and they set sail for the Turin coast through the treacherous Crescent crossing.
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Yes, I'm doing it so far. Every time I say a name, I like look at you and I'm like, I think I'm extra like not confident because I'm also right now reading Fate Inked in Blood, which is this like Nordic folklore.
Oh,
and
that's got some words.
Let me tell you something. I'm doing it mixed listening and reading, but I started by listening, so I'm hearing all these terms for people's names, but it's all phonetic. So like there's one character called Ingrid is how they say it. And when I read it, it was Ingrid. And I was like,
all right.
Ingrid. Or like her brother's name is Guide, but it's spelled gear. I was like, it's like I have to translate what's going on here.
How do we have the same letters and they are not the same sounds?
They are not making the same sounds. Anyway, so they're on the voyage and a number of things happen on the Cutter as they make their way across this body of water. First of all, Jocelyn and Brielle, very seasick. They're clutching like pots to throw up in and just laying in bed and being sad. And so Odessa spends a lot of time, one, caring for them, bringing them fresh pots to throw up in, and also exploring on her own. It's kind of the first time she's getting to like get a sense for what's going on without somebody over her shoulder kind of telling her what to do or nagging her. And amongst this exploration of the ship, the Guardian finds so much time in his day to pester her and to start up witty repartee. He's just like, what are you doing, little idiot? And she's like, can you get out of here, please? Like, can you just leave me alone for a second? And it's clear from the very start that he is powerful in lots of ways. And Odessa doesn't have a full view of it right from the start, but she gets bits and pieces. He has these shifting eye colors based on his mood. He's super strong. He's super fast. He can see really well. He swims like nobody else. So like he is jacked up magically and just as a human. And she clocks all that. I think from the start she's a little bit of a simp for him. Even when she's like, I hate him.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, again, not to go back, I could talk about this literally for hours, so I will condense. Just the way that her and Banner are, like this person that she's engaged to, and there is nothing. Like there is no spark. Physical. There is no. I mean, just the way he talks to her, like you're just like, but this guy's a dick. Like, all right. And the Guardian, I think, is such this different interaction with a man that she's ever had before. That I think it's fucking hot. Let's just be real.
Oh yeah, and he's got rippling muscles. He's
oh boy,
taller than everybody. He's got dark hair that brushes his shoulders and falls over his eyes, and his eyes change color. Like he's just a mystical. His jaw. She talks about how sharp his jaw is, and like it could cut people. And he's ripped. He's hot, and she is noticing. She's like, I feel a tingle in a way that I don't when I look at Banners. So what's happening? And in another development, Odessa starts wearing pants. Big thing for her. She was very unsure about it. It took her 4 days to decide, I wear pants or not?
Because I think part of it, the Guardian is the one that's sneaking in her room that she's locking every night and leaving her these clothes. You don't want to wear those gray ass dresses that are fucking ugly, right? Like, no. Here's some pants. This is what people in Tura wear.
This is what people with objectives and goals wear. Yeah. She does keep dyeing her hair for far too long for my liking. Like, I'm like, girl, stop it.
Right.
Stop dyeing your hair.
Cares. Marlo's not here.
No, yeah, but she keeps dyeing her hair. But she does wear pants, and when we support her for that.
And the hair dye reeks.
Bad.
It smells bad.
It smells bad. Do you want to smell bad, girl? Don't smell bad. just let your, like, red hair is beautiful, and I would love red hair. So, like, girl, let it fly. Let it fly. But she's not ready for that. All she's ready for is pants. No. So Xavier, who did not speak at all in the castle for the, they get on the boat, he's not talking. He does speak to Odessa. He starts speaking to her, but he doesn't have her come to his bed. The conversations are polite. They are kind. They are quiet. They're without, like, it doesn't have any, like, razzing or anything. And it's totally devoid of heat. Like, she does not feel anything toward him. It's pretty clear he doesn't feel anything toward her. And I think in some way this confuses Odessa, because she's like, I'm supposed to provide you with an heir. So the assumption is that at some point, even if there's not a natural attraction between us, that you would have me come to your bed and that we would try to, like, promote this Shield of Sparrows business. And he doesn't. He seems completely uninterested in her physically and as a person. He's just like, he's nice. Did you ever watch Outlander?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. John, who loves Jamie?
John Grey.
Lord John Grey. I very much picture Xavier like Lord John Grey. Like, polite.
Fair.
Like,
yes.
Even keeled.
Lovely human.
Lovely guy. Level-headed. But there's no heat, because just nobody, like, everybody's attracted to who they're not supposed to be attracted to. So it's like,
right.
With John and Jamie, there's just no heat because Jamie doesn't feel that way. And so it's, I think, and then with other partners that John Grey has, some of whom are women, there's no heat. There's respect. There's kindness. He's a good man.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But there's no spark. And so I don't know why. I literally just pasted John Grey's face over Xavier's, and he was John Grey from then on. But despite these sort of interpersonal and clothing shifts that are happening, there are also things happening out in the seas. A marrow eel attacks the ship, and the Guardian's like, stay down and grab onto something. And Odessa doesn't do any of that. And she goes flying off the ship. And luckily, the Guardian and the crew save her. But from that point on, she realizes, like, we're not fucking around out here. Like, I will die if I don't get my head on straight. And then she goes, I want to start training. I want to start combat training. I need, like, me being this, like, limp noodle just is not going to do. And so Xavier assigns the Guardian to train her. And it's saucy, man. It's I saw your little fist, like,
oh boy.
Oh boy. So yeah, Odessa and the Guardian start training. Interestingly, Odessa also overhears Xavier and the Guardian talking about the fact that they suspect that she will try to kill the Guardian. So she's, like, trying to play spy. She's like, I'm so sneaky. They're like, yeah, we think she probably is a spy for her dad. And
girl, we know.
Yeah, they're like, baby girl. I mean, they don't know she's listening, so they don't know that she knows that they know.
Right.
Like that Friends sketch, like, they know that we know that they know that we know. But I think it kind of puts things in perspective for her. Like, I'm probably not in the position to be totally sneaky about this, but I'm going to keep trying. So they land on the shores of Tura, and they immediately get on horses and have this grueling ride through the woods. It's across a plain, it's in the forest, it's everywhere. And they're avoiding these wild beasts that exist all across Tura. I mean, all across Calandra, but they're especially concentrated in Tura, apparently. And they end up in a town called Triau. That's how I said it.
Trio.
Trio. Okay. I like trio better.
That's how they said it in the book.
I'm
or
gonna
in
go
the
with
in the audio. Sorry.
I'm gonna go with that one. They end up in Trio, and it's a place where, in order to protect themselves from the beast, they live in tree houses. So, in order to get to anyone's house, you have to climb up a ladder for the most part. There are a couple of outbuildings that seem to be on the ground, but individual lodging happens in trees. And I just want to go through some of the wild beast names that they encounter. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just keep these in mind as we talk, because they'll come back again, some of them. There are fennecs, which are poisonous fox creatures, grizzers, which are grizzly bears but with spikes on their backs, tarkins. We run into werewolves a lot, which are these giant black wolves with like scary eyes and bloodlust. Lion wicks, which are like mountain lions, but they have golden leathery hides and black teeth and barbed tails. And I could go on. There are ones that are like alligators. There are ones like, there are so many. But the ones that I think we see the most are talks of werewolves, grizzers. We see a lion wick at one point. So there are ones that come up more often than others. But what's important for Odessa is that in her time at Trio, she starts to train hard. She's fighting, she's running, she's stretching, she's horse riding, she's shooting crossbows. She is like, I just need to be useful. I'm trying to be a spy for my father. I want to make myself ready for whatever. And she's really trying. She has a journal that she's cataloging everything that she sees and is sort of building up her skills in various ways. What do you think drives Odessa to train? And then how does the training itself impact her character arc and psychology?
I think you were right. I mean, that lovely experience being, thrown off of a boat and into the sea with these fucking Morrowills. Like, I think that there is something with survive. Like, totally. Mm-hmm. I would like to survive this so that I can do what my dad said I needed to do. Yeah. And so I think a huge part of it is survival, but I think that it is more rooted in because I have this assignment that I need to do to prove myself, so that my dad can be proud of me, that all of the things that kind of come with when you feel invisible. And I think, I think the training does lots of things as far as her arc. Like, it helps her to feel stronger, like she kind of is coming into her own, but also it builds this sense of community where she's training with the guardian who, remember, you're supposed to kill him, but she's kind of fighting with these feelings. And then I know we'll get into it, but like once they get into Trio and settle, like she starts training with Tilia and all of these other people that kind of now she's surrounded by, and she's training with these people. She's getting to know them, and not necessarily at this point, like, are they becoming family, but it's community. And so I think that's a big part of it, is she is able to feel a part of something. And as things continue in the book, I mean, she kind of is able to prove herself that she can hold her own in some regard, that she's not just this weak princess who can't help, this damsel in distress.
Yeah. I love that you highlight this. It feels like a shift between a community she was leaving that had a lot to be desired, like this sort of like hobbled her. It really, like, it kept her back, her community in Quentis. And as she's building this new community, she's like, oh, like, I can be empowered and I can do things. And it's this building confidence by seeing who is in her sphere and seeing the ways that they interact with each other, but also with her. And I so badly, like, from the moment that she was like, I just want to earn my dad's trust, I knew where this was headed. And I was like, girl, you don't owe anything to that man. Like, and I know as a counselor, I'm like, I can empathize with where she is, and I know why she thinks the way she does. And I was like, girl, this man does not have your best interest at heart. You need to drop that. You need to drop that desire like a hot potato. Like this. And I think if you have your own reasons, that's fine. Like, she's from Quentis. If she has her own reasons for spying on people, go for that. But I was so, my heart went out to her every time she was like, I just want to make my dad proud. I was like,
yeah,
girl, I know, but oh my God.
But you don't have to. That's not everything, I promise.
Yeah, you could, there are other people you can make proud. You can make yourself proud. But as we know in counseling, sometimes people just have to go through things and explore it and figure it out for themselves. We could tell top of book Odessa till we're blue in the face, but she had to kind of figure things out herself. And I think what you're highlighting is she's starting to see new influences, new people, and going, does it have to be this way? And I think what's important to note here, because when they got off the boat and went into Trio, I kept expecting Xavier to like kick into gear with his responsibilities. I will say the big surprise that comes up in this book, I saw coming from a mile away. I was like, something's up with Xavier and the girl. Guardian. Something's up. And you know, we warned for spoilers, so I think we could just say it now that the Guardian is the prince, the crown prince. Xavier is his cousin. I initially thought maybe they were the same person, and he was somehow magically projecting himself because they look similar, or I thought they were brothers. But it turns out that Xavier's is the Guardian's cousin and has been pretending to be Xavier, basically. Xavier Ransom Wolf, who is the crown prince, has his cousin Dre pretend to be him and go by Xavier. But at this point, I was toggling. I was like, something's up with Xavier and the Guardian. The Guardian is definitely the prince, but who is Xavier to everybody else? And I just kept thinking, whatever's going on here, if you're going to keep up a ruse, like, you're gonna have to hang out with and have sex with your wife at some point.
Yeah.
But he stays away from her. He like goes off on adventures and is like in a different treehouse and is, in my opinion, not doing a great job of convincing people that he has any intention. Yeah, that they're together, that he has any intentions of like being with his wife. And this really gets to Odessa too. I think she feels like it's a personal failing that for some reason Xavier doesn't want her. And in the midst of that, she is, as you mentioned, making other friends. And I think what's especially poignant or important is that she's making friendships with other women. There's a ranger you mentioned earlier, Tilia, who trains with her and helps her to learn different skills. And you'll have to tell me, Kathleen?
Yes.
Okay.
I did. This is the part I'm no help anymore. The audiobook had been returned.
The audiobook was decimated. So we'll go with Kathleen, who is the librarian in Trio. And anytime there's a librarian or a library, I'm like, I rock with those people. So she starts making, I don't know if they're full-fledged friendships, but acquaintanceships. There's some warmth between her and other characters. And I think it starts to help Odessa look around and be like, wait a second, how do I feel about this? But in the midst of all this growth, King Ramsay rolls up to Trio. We have not seen the king since the start of this book. And all of a sudden he comes into Trio and everyone's like, Odessa, I need you to fucking hide and don't make a scene. She chose to try to too. She's like, I'm gonna, and Kathleen's like, girl, I'm telling you, fucking don't. And Ramsay speaks very briefly to the people of Trio. He speaks, I think, to, is it the Guardian or Xavier? He speaks to a couple of people. But I think what's important for the larger arc here is that he finds all of the books in Trio and he burns them. And immediately I don't like him. I'm like,
for sure.
You're burning books. I'm not for you, or you're I kind of don't care why you're burning them, and it gets kind of explained later. You're burning knowledge and you're upsetting people in the process. And then he just leaves. He burns all the books. He chats briefly and he leaves. And so Odessa's starting to try to put things together of like, okay, what's the king doing here? Why is he burning books? And she's noting everything down in her journal. She's like, dear diary, today, we don't get that POV, but I picture, dear diary, today, King Ramsay burned all the books in Trio. And this makes Catelyn very sad too, which I didn't like. Yeah. But in the midst of other sort of information gathering things are heating up between Odessa and the Guardian. She definitely, whatever hots she had for him on the boat are only growing. She like looks at his rippling muscles every day, and he knows it. She's a terrible liar, and he tells her all the time how bad at lying. She's like, I don't like you, and he's like, okay, sure. And
don't forget it.
Oh God. And they just generally, and I put air quotes around, aggravate each other. They're very aggravating to each other, but somehow every time she gets aggravated, she has a warmth pooling in her core, as they always do.
Of course.
And Xavier returns after one of his many expeditions, and Odessa learns, shockingly, I was shocked by this, that he has a daughter, Evangeline, who lives in Trio. And he lets Odessa know that Evie's mom had died, but he admits that he wouldn't have told Odessa if she hadn't accidentally found out. And there's even this moment where Odessa tries to kiss him on the cheek. It's not even anything crazy. She just is trying to connect. She's like, let me connect with you. And he is totally not interested. No. He's like, I wouldn't tell you shit if you didn't roll up in here and don't kiss me. And I'm like, Xavier, what is wrong with you, man? Like, what is going on?
And to be fair, like, because there's no such thing as spoilers, because if you haven't read this book, why are you listening to this? I think there's also that piece of, because Xavier knows that she is the Guardian's wife, dude, if I was anyone, even myself, I don't think I would want to like look at the Guardian and be like, so I kissed your wife earlier today, and then see like the consequences of what that might be.
That is such a good point. That is such a good point.
In the read, it is. It's just like, oh God, what's
why
is this guy such a jerk? Like, Odessa, it's okay. But you know, hindsight, it's like, no, I bet that he's like, I don't really want to have the Guardian be upset with me.
It's like when Lord John Grey had to go to Jaime and be like, I've had carnal knowledge of your wife. And oh man. Spoiler for Outlander, by the way. When you put it in that framework, I can imagine being like, yo, like I could picture him going to the Guardian and be like, bro, your woman's trying to touch me. What do you want me to do about it? I also think,
when are we telling her?
What's the messaging? Do we tell her she's ugly? That would be so messed up.
So glad Devney didn't go that route.
Yeah, me too. I also think too, well, and we find this out later, but Xavier at some point starts having relations with her maid Jocelyn and one of his rangers. And the Guardian even highlights this early on. He's like, Xavier does not like to share and he doesn't like desperation. And she's like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, am I not supposed to want to go to bed with you to make heirs? Like, is that not what we're here for? So the messaging is very mixed. And so Odessa, you know, I think at this point in the book, she's feeling like in some ways she's really not fulfilling her goals or fulfilling her father's goals, but it doesn't mean she stops trying. So she continues to try to spy on people and get information. And she keeps trying to ask about the capital city, Alisaria, but every time she does, their reactions are immediate and severe. They're like, no, and they walk away. We find out later that anybody who's been to the capital city has to swear a blood oath not to talk about it, but she doesn't understand that. I think once she does, she's like, oh, that's why people are so fucking mad when I ask about it.
Right.
But at this point, she's like, I don't understand what about me. Like, I don't understand why everybody's being not just not talking about it, but being kind of mean about it. Like, I don't get it. And she says that she is starting to take matters into her own hands. And I feel like the first big thing she does, because she's training, and these are all actions that builds character over time. But this is kind of the first big thing I saw from her that was like, go girl, do your thing, fuck them up. She tells Brielle that she's like, listen, I've asked everybody here about Alisaria. She also tells Brielle what her dad wants her to do in some part. She doesn't tell her the whole thing, but she tells her some things. And she's like, I'm going to sneak to the nearest town, which is called Ashmore, and I'm going to get this information. Maybe the people in Ashmore won't know who I am, and they'll tell me. So they get a plan together, and Brielle pretends to be Odessa, and Odessa pretends to be her lady's maid. She puts her gray dress back on, and I was like, boo, gray dress, boo. But it works for the purposes of this scheme. And she takes the brown dye out of her hair, so she's redheaded now in a gray dress. Nobody recognizes her, and she makes it out of town. I was like, he better not catch her like on the outskirts of town and be like,
ooh, right?
Yeah, I was like, I need this to work for her. I need this to work. And so she gets to town, and truly, it is a circumstance of bad luck. The Guardian did not know that she was going to do this. He wasn't gonna know, except that the Guardian was already in Ashmore, and she like walks down the street, and there he is talking to a sex worker. She feels a little jealous about that, but she's
so jealous.
Oh, and she's like, I have this feeling in my chest and I don't know what it is. And like me, the counselor's like, it's jealousy. Like, I just like drive by naming emotions. And she like sees him and she's like, oh no. So she puts a little scarf over her bushy red hair and tries to like sneak to the inn. She gets into her room in the inn and he's like, what the fuck? He's so mad. And she's like, nobody will tell me anything. I'm doing and he's like, you're going back to Trio. Like he's so pissed. He's got the gray swirly eyes, which means mad. He was not happy.
And I love that she's like, if I'm supposed to be the queen and I don't know anything about this place, how is that supposed to make me look? Like, girl, well done. Like, that is a good reason it's a legitimate reason to be like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. This was the first time where I was like, yes, girl. Because even like, from the first, like the interaction with, what's his name? Her ex-fiance.
Oh,
Banner. I can't even remember his name. That's how stupid he is.
No, that's okay, because I was like, who are you talking about?
She just accepts when he's mean to her. Like, he's just like,
yeah,
he's like, well, don't fucking ask me questions. So she's like, okay. This is like, she's now at a point where she's like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna ask questions. I need to know shit. And so they have a little back and forth. It's heated, but angry, but there's a pooling in her core. And he's like, listen, in the morning, we're fucking leaving. This is ridiculous. We're not doing this. But before he could take her back to Trio, the town is attacked by bear wolves. And there are people, including the sex worker that the Guardian was chatting with, who die. But in the end, the Guardian, with help from Odessa, actually does end up killing all but one of the bear wolves. There's one-eyed bear wolf that escapes, and he becomes important to the story in that the Guardian has seen this bear wolf before, and I'm gonna leave a little mystery about what role he plays till later, but okay. He plays a bigger role. But at this point, the one-eyed bear wolf gets away, and that's all we know. Odessa helps to bury the dead, and she goes back to their rooms because she's like, all right, we've done everything we can. We'll head out in the morning. And the Guardian comes stumbling in drunk sometime later. And first of all, I would want to chat him up. I'd be like, drunk Guardian.
Right. Tell me all the things.
Literally, like, tell me your secrets. And so she asks him about a comment that Evie had made, or Evie. Do you know if it's Evie or Evie, or were we gone by that point?
We were gone by that point.
We were gone by.
Darn it.
Okay. I call her Evie in my head, so I'm going to keep going with that. So Evie, or Evangeline, had said something about sick monsters, kind of in a throwaway comment previous to this episode. And she asked, she's like, so Evie said that there are sick monsters? And he goes, that's because they have Lissa. And then he passes out. And she's like, Lissa? Who's Lissa? What's Lissa? What's happening? He just makes this comment and then falls asleep. And she's like, putting that in the diary, but I don't know what it means. The next day, they travel to a town called Eldara, which is larger, I think, than both Trio or Ashmore. It's kind of a big fortress city. And on the ride there, interestingly, I don't know if it was the previous night's drunkenness or the fact that they killed some werewolves together, but Odessa and the Guardian share some moments that are trending more toward sweet and kind and connecting than antagonistic. It's not without antagonism, for sure.
No way.
But he's like, my mom used to take me to this cliffside when I was a kid. And once they start sharing details about their childhoods, it's all over, baby. We're headed somewhere. So they get back to Eldara. Odessa spends some time hanging out with Evie, or Evangeline, who's Xavier's daughter. And I think this kicks off, or not even kicks off, but is a part of a larger trajectory for Odessa and Evie. They really become supports for one another. Odessa really, I think, loves her and cares for her. Evie loves Odessa. She's knocking on her door every day being like, want to play?
Calling her Des. Like, you get a nickname.
What up, Des? So there's nicknames, and there's kindness and care and love. And she spends her days hanging out with Evie. She has dinners with Xavier with no romantic attraction whatsoever, but everyone knows that they're having dinner together, so they make, assumptions. And she trains. She continues to train in various ways, fighting, running, all kinds of stuff. Evie is also, I think, a much better spy than maybe Odessa is, because she's very smart. She's very intuitive. She listens, and she's always sneaking around. She's trying to see what's going on. And Evie's like, you want to see a stash of books and scrolls I found in the dungeons? And Odessa's like, yes, I definitely do. And so they go down there. Evie's like, look at all the books and the trinkets. And when they go down there, they get caught by Luella, who is Evie's tutor and other things, but tutor. And Luella and Kathleen, catch them. And Kathleen starts giving Odessa various history books. She had given her a few books back in Trio, and now she's kind of being like, here, have some more books about the history of Tura, about mythology, about all kinds of stuff. And as she trains with the Guardian, hanging out with Evie and all this stuff, Xavier has to leave, and Evie's really upset by that. So the Guardian and Odessa are like, okay, Evie, do you want to go to Trio and we can have a cool little trip? And she's like, hell yeah. And while they're there, 2 lion wicks attack Trio, and it's intense. It's a lot, but it should be noted that Odessa saves a couple of kids from one of the lion wicks. And the Guardian is very concerned about her physical safety, which is another sign that maybe, I don't know, something may be happening. But I do want to take a pause here, because we've been very Odessa focused, because it's from her perspective. So that makes sense.
Right.
But I think it's worth taking a little bit of time to focus in on what is going on with the Guardian. And I want to give you free reign in this moment to use what you know from the entirety of the book if you want to, or you could or you could keep it to this phase of the book, whatever feels better to you. But what do you think drives the Guardian through the first part of the book? And how do you see his circumstances driving his behaviors and his relationship with Odessa?
I mean, the Guardian is the Crown Prince. I don't know if we know that yet. We don't know that technically yet. But, he is, up to this point, he is the protector of Tura. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he is this badass. He can do things other people can't do. Like, duty above all. He is going to save everyone. He's going to do all of these things. And so I think, and I wanted to point out, when they were in Ashmore and all of this shit's going on with the Beowulfs, Odessa has the opportunity to kill the Guardian. And she doesn't.
Well, and a false opportunity, remember?
Yes.
Because she's bound, but yeah.
But she could have tried, right? And so I think that the fact that she didn't even try, I think that helped kind of move the Guardian to more of like, you could have tried and I would have known if you were trying to kill me, and you didn't. Here are some crumbs. No, my mother. Like, I think that was part of it. But I mean, I think another piece, like, he picked Odessa because he knew that May was fucking being trained to be a spy. Like, I think that there's some other things in the works. That's maybe some theory stuff at the end, but like, Xavier and the Guardian knew, we're going to pick Odessa over May. And I think that, again, part of that is we have to protect Tura. We have to protect Alisaria. We have to do these things. We have to protect our people. And we have this crux coming. Like, what the actual fuck? I have to remain focused. And so I think that focus is something that's kept him so heavily guarded, and then kind of getting into things that come up in the book, like watching things that his father did to his mother and not necessarily being able to do anything about it. I think that there's a sense of almost like needing to, I can only think of religious words, but like basically find ways to like find penance to repair that and to do these things. And so he's starting to feel things towards Odessa. And I think that that's scary, because if you love someone, you can lose them, and he doesn't want to. As you know, he's looking through things. He's so concerned about her physical well-being. I think that this is just kind of growing of, he's the protector of Turin, but things are shifting, and just, again, things with like his parents looking into attachments, and like, attachments are going to be distractions. Distractions are dangerous. And if things are dangerous, you're going to die. And he's got a lot. He's got a lot going on while he's protecting his people, trying to navigate secretly being married, but nobody knows yet. And this potential spy in Tura.
I think too, I like that you highlight one, all the responsibilities that he carries and how much he embodies them. Like, he takes it on, and he's like, these are my people. This is my problem. This is my burden to carry. And the way that shows up, that I saw several times, is in how much guilt he carries. For every death, there's like such guilt that he wasn't able to protect people. And there's some of that. Well, I think there's a lot of that he can't really own. There's some stuff that's not his to own, but he's owning it. He's like, this is on me. And I think in some ways his, relationship with his father, and still, he and his father have a contentious relationship. It's not good, but there's still love there for him. I think it's complicated, but he grew up idolizing his dad. So I think he's predicated to have empathy for his father, but in a way that it doesn't create expectations for his father, where he's like, well, stuff's happening for my dad and he's not doing the right thing, but here's why. And it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, you are not responsible for that. Like, that's on your dad. That's on the king. The king needs to show up in a different way than he is. You're showing up for your people, and he is not right now, as far as we can tell. Now, maybe the second book stuff, whatever, but I see so many times in this book where the Guardian carries such heavy guilt, and if I was his counselor, I'd want to be like, do we need to own that? Is that something that we can own? Those are the kinds of conversations I want to have to help him understand what's helpful for him to feel responsible for and not.
For sure.
Yeah. So they have their moment where they're like, you know, and this is in my teehees too, but like the lion wakes attack and she like is hurt a little bit and he's so worried about her. I'll give the quote later, but it like made me a Twitter page. It like, he was so worried. And Odessa asked the Guardian about Lissa, and he's like, how did you know about that? And she's like, you told me while you were drunk, bro. That's on you. And this was after, so she kind of walked in on a Voster healing the Guardian. I have some theories about this, but I'll get into that later. And the Vosters healing the Guardian are very painful, so it's kind of a vulnerable moment. And I think her being able to see him in that vulnerability, them being able to have that conversation, opens up a conversation about Lissa. And what he tells her is that there have been these animals or these beasts that have been infected throughout the northern reaches of Tura, and that they've been spreading down through the lower country of Tura and into other, they suspect, potentially into other countries. This is the part where I was like, girl, this is why you can't trust your dad. The Guardian says, listen, all the kings, including my dad and your dad and everybody, although he doesn't say my dad, but he says all of the kings know about Lissa and none of them are doing anything about it. And this, I think, is a pivotal moment because it just wedges some doubt in there. She's like, why would my father ignore a threat to the continent? Why, if this is so dire, why? And I think what's helping her is she's seen how dire it is. Like, she's seen for herself what these beasts can do. So she knows that the Guardian's not lying about it. But he tells her this, and I think it's just another part of the puzzle for her. Her own interpersonal puzzle, her intrapersonal puzzle, where she's trying to decide who to trust, but also a puzzle about what's going on in the world. And from this conversation, Odessa's like, please let me help. Please, can I please help with the Lissa? I promise. I've been training. I have the endurance. I have the strength. Please let me help. And the Guardian begrudgingly is like, no, okay, we'll let you help. And so they go to a lionwick den and they find a sort of a cluster of lionwick cubs, but all of them have died except for one. And she adopts him, and Evie names him Faze. And so now Odessa has this little lionwick cub. He's like my favorite, and he's such a cutie patootie, and I'm so scared for him in the coming books. I don't want him to hurt or go away.
Because there's a caveat to her being able to take Faze back, and it's if he has Lissa, if he becomes a monster, are you gonna have the strength to kill him?
Well, but he tests.
Like, yes. And they test it.
Yeah.
But then there's that like little piece of like, are you willing to kill like any monster that has Lissa? And she's just like, are you talking about you? And he's just like, And so like there's this, like there's so much fear of like, what if he's, because we know he doesn't have Lissa, but like, what if he gets bit trying to do something and then he gets it? Are they gonna have to kill him? And like,
little Faze, or what if he? Because here's the thing: he's a little baby, and so like, what if he gets too big and rowdy? But he listens to her, which I think there's like this theory stuff there. But anyway, there's a little lionwick cub, and it becomes her little pet, and Evie loves him, and they all love him, and he's so cute. And I think the lionwick cub thing, the ride back to Eldara, these moments are starting to build more and more trust between Odessa and the Guardian. And out of that trust, the Guardian tells her his real name, which is Ransom. Ransom is his real name. Now, as I said, I knew from the beginning, I was like, he's the prince. Xavier's fake. I don't know how, but he is. I was like, is this the moment where we finally get, but we didn't, we just got a name. We just got a name. We didn't get anything else. And I was like, okay. We're going to have to live with that. And they go to a town called Rivali to see if they can get information about Lissa. They are starting to wonder, actually, if it's a natural occurrence or if someone created it with magic. And I think that's a development. Like, they've been thinking, okay, this is a natural disease and can we get a cure? But now they're like, somebody, like, it just is weird that it's only happening in Tura, or that it seems to be starting in Tura. What if somebody created this? And so while they're there, Odessa gets to talk to an interesting character named Samuel Hay. Samuel Hay is from Quentis, and previously she had read a book by him where Samuel just trash talked the fuck out of Quentis. She was like, if I ever meet this asshole, I'm giving him a piece of my mind. But she finds out why. It was like traumatic for him, and he lost his wife. All this stuff happened, and they actually have an okay conversation. And he tells her about the fact that people in Tura are blood sworn not to talk about Alisaria. And I think this helps Odessa release some responsibility over it. It's like, oh, okay, so this isn't a fault of mine. Like, I'm not asking in a weird way or something, but they literally just can't. And that there are many people who are blood sworn to the king. She realizes, like, people are making blood oaths, so there's stuff that they can and cannot do or say based on these oaths that they've sworn. And I think it helps her to place, like, oh, okay, this is not really about me. I've been making it about me, but it's not.
Yeah.
So, while they're in Rivali, again, King Ramsay shows up, and I'm like, God, get out of here, man. And I'm like, just go back to Alisaria or wherever. He shows up and he burns down Samuel Hay's print shop. He was a printer. And there's a standoff between Ransom and King Ramsay. This was another moment where I was like, girl, put the pieces together. But
right.
And he was like, number one, you have a month. Number two, he's like, now I see why my son has a thing for this girl. I'm like, this is so... Oh my God, this is so frustratingly close to the truth. It's crazy. I was like, girl, please put the pieces together. But she doesn't.
She doesn't yet. Not yet.
She doesn't yet. She's got a lot going on, to be fair to her. But Ransom tells Odessa, because the king's like, I'll see you in a month, bitch. He doesn't say bitch, but I put that in there. Ransom tells Odessa that he's supposed to report as the king's general in a month's time and go back to Alisaria, but that he's going to avoid that for as long as possible. He's like, my dad's not my dad. The king is going to have to drag me back. See, and in my head, it was already a done deal. I was like, so he's right? The prince, right? But he's like, the king's going to have to drag me back by my, like, ankles in order to get me to do that, but he can try. So they ride back to Eldara with Samuel and Samuel's son Jonas, because now the king burned down his livelihood. And when Odessa gets back to Xavier's house, oh my God, he catches Xavier and Jocelyn in a threesome with another ranger, and she is upset. And she is also kind of relieved. She's upset because it's hurtful and embarrassing and she's being betrayed. She's not upset because she actually wants Xavier. And this is the moment I was like, come on. Like, we have to know at some point. Like, this has to come out in this book. I was getting nervous. I was like, does this never arise in this book? But it comes up, and she's like, I also loved this moment. Like, she sees Xavier and Jocelyn. She's like, the fuck? They see her. They're like, oh my God.
Oh no.
Oh no. She's going back to her room in a flurry. Xavier's following behind her and being like, wait, Odessa, wait. And she was like, I'm fucking off. Done. Yeah, she was like, I'm done. I'm so fucking done with you, with everybody. And Ransom is there, like, in front of her door being like, what happened? What's wrong? And she's like, I don't even have fucking time for you. And she shoves him out of the way and she goes in her room and she slams the door. And I was like, yes, girl. yes, girl. And and then Ransom comes in. He's like, I have some splaining to do. And he's like, okay, I am the prince. I am your husband. Xavier's pretending to be me. And what I thought was very sweet was that he says, when I rolled up to Quintus in my boats, I looked out and I saw you on the cliffs, and I watched you with your brown hair leap off this cliff, dive into the water, come out with red hair, and I knew that we both were trying to fulfill roles. Like, we were both forced into being people that we're not, and I wanted to set you free.
So tender.
So cute and tender. And here's the thing. I get why Odessa couldn't immediately melt into his arms. I think it was good that she was like, yo, this is so much. Everyone has lied to me so much. I need a fucking second. But I was like, but like, that also is really cute. Oh my God.
It is. Yeah.
And then he takes her back through, like, she's like, no, I married Xavier. And he was like, no, you didn't. Xavier never spoke. I'm the one that spoke for him.
Look at my hand. Look at my hand.
We have little scars. Look at our scars. And he goes, if you had looked at that vial of blood, you would have seen green blood instead of red blood. Something that we haven't totally, I feel like we've been talking about it as if it's a reality, but we haven't delved into, is the fact that Ransom has Lyssa. He's the one human that he knows of that has Lyssa, and so his blood is green. And so that was sort of the one tricky part that he had to maneuver, where he was like, here's my green blood vial. And like I said, very rightfully so, Odessa is upset about being lied to, and Ransom is definitely sorry about lying. I don't think he would have changed things given that he was trying to protect his kingdom and his people, but he's like,
sure,
I'm sorry that we had to lie. Jocelyn, boo, hiss boo, also apologizes. And Odessa says, what do you want? And she says some bullshit answer. She's like, no, tell the truth. What do you fucking want? And Jocelyn was like, I really just want to go back to Quintus. And Odessa's like, fine, this will be a good excuse. She's like, because again, she doesn't love Xavier. She's not attracted to Xavier, so she doesn't care. It's more the fact that she's been holding herself back this whole, and that's what would have made me pissed. It would have been like, I have been trying to be a good person. I've been holding myself back. I've been trying to be faithful to you and to be honest with you and not to betray you. And you've been off just betraying. Like, I've committed so much time and guilt and thought into not betraying our relationship, and you're just off doing this. Like, why the fuck am I even trying? And so, you know, Odessa's like, this will be a good sort of cover reason why you need to go back to Quintus. Go back to Quintus. And she goes. And Ransom says that when he initially rolled up to Quintus, his prerogative was to see why they got the Marrowwell contract. Or did you say Marrowwell? Is that how they said it? Marrowwell? Marrowwell?
I don't know what the hell I said.
Okay. You said at one point Marrowwell, and I was like, did I get that wrong? Whatever it is. The eel contract. And like I said, when he saw her jump it, he just was like, I gotta have her. I gotta have her. And so I think it's important to pause and recognize that Ransom and Odessa, for their own separate reasons, and even though Odessa's bad at lying, they lie to each other a lot in large portions of this book, especially toward the beginning. But I would even say through the first 2/3 of the book. How do you think their lying impacts their relationship and their own individual arcs as characters?
I mean, I think one of the things, it's kind of a difficult human concept at times to wrap our minds around, is that we all lie. We all fucking lie. We have these experiences. We have things that we think, if we're honest, we're going to lose something that's important to us. And so we lie because we think, out of if it's a twofer partnership, I have more to lose than you do.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so I think that this is a big piece of why they lie to each other. Odessa's over here like, I'm supposed to be a fucking spy for my dad.
Mm-hmm.
But if you know that, one, I'm not going to get information, but two, this feeling that I feel in my tummy, what's that going to do? I'm never going to get that.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's part of it. Ransom also, because he and Xavier really know, like they're like, we know she's here to fucking spy. What would that mean for him if
Mm-hmm.
he allowed himself to be, quote, fooled or deceived by the spy and something happens to the kingdom? Like there's so many things. And I think for both of them, because they both have these roles they're trying to fulfill, and then like you were saying, Ransom with his guilt,
Mm-hmm.
if you know the real me, you won't stay. And I think that that's huge. Oh my God, I could tell you all of the times that I see that with clients and things like that. And so
Yeah.
I think they both have to, part of their character development is they both grow. They both recognize this is not the normal situation that I've had in the past. This person is not going to do to me what the people in the past did. And so I think that they learn and they grow in their own respects. And Odessa has to trust herself before she can trust anybody else. And I think that she does a really great job of developing those skills to be able to, when I hear this information and I get a twinge of, ooh, like for example, when Ransom tells her, all of these kings know about Lissa and nobody's doing anything, and she has that, oh no, then what does that mean with my dad? Yep. And so being able to trust herself so that she can see things more clearly to stop lying, and Ransom being able to see and have these experiences that he still has humanity despite being infected with Lissa, despite being the guardian, and both of them kind of realizing that when they're honest and vulnerable with each other, they can be free, which is so fucking scary, because then if other people know, then potentially that person could be taken away, right? But like,
yeah,
I think that there are just so many layers to, we lie because we're afraid, and once we're able to get over that hump of fear and find courage and find safety in a new relationship, that's when it doesn't matter what the truth is, because that person's going to accept you no matter what.
I love that you use the word vulnerability here, because I think that's what it is. It's like, and for Ransom and Odessa, there are kingdoms wide repercussions to their vulnerability. Like it's not just me being vulnerable for myself, which is hard enough, but and what I think we see a lot in the counseling space is like, it's already just hard to be vulnerable because that's hard on me emotionally.
Right.
But if you have a whole kingdom at stake, like if in Ransom's perspective, if he falls for this woman and she's a spy and she uses it to hurt him, now it's not just excuse me. Now it's not just him on the line. It's his whole kingdom. It's his family. It's his cousin. So recognizing that, yes, there are magical circumstances that are making this more intense, that are driving the tension and intensity, but fear of vulnerability, which is at the heart of this, is something that we can see clinically all the time. I also love that you talk about how normal it is to lie. It's interesting because Becky and I in our Quicksilver, it was either Quicksilver or Brimstone conversation, had a similar conversation, and I think it's sort of widely acknowledged things that counselors know, which is like, it's sort of a social contract to lie sometimes. And it's so interesting when people are like, well, what if your clients lie to you? And it's like, okay, what if they do? Like, I kind of am half expecting it, to be honest. Like And even like we lie to ourselves, right? Like they might be lying
Yeah.
and they don't even
Yes.
know. I can't tell you how many times I've looked into a corner of my consciousness and being like, I have been deceiving myself about that. So I think it's a recognition that usually when someone's lying, there's a reason, that it's not out of maliciousness, even if it can seem malicious. And I like that you track the ways that they'll give each other crumbs. They're like, my mom took me here once. And like, once you see that, like, I'm going to give you a nugget of vulnerability and you will hold it with kindness and compassion. It's like, oh, you'll hold that nugget. Okay. Let me try a little bit of bigger nugget. Like, that's how trust is built.
Yeah. And I see that. I know, like, this is further down, but just really quickly, like, I see that a lot with, this is generalization, but a lot with men, where a man will be like, I'm going to tell you this little thing. And it's so often, because I think women, I will speak for myself, I overthink like a motherfucker. And so I think that, when, for example, when my husband comes to me and is like, hey, this thing, I'm like, oh, dude, like I was thinking something 20 times. That's fine. You're totally fine. I was thinking something way worse. And so to be able to create those relationships and those moments of trust where not only am I going to hold this, I'm going to sit here and continue to tell you, you're not the monster you're trying to convince me you are.
Yeah.
You're okay. We're okay.
Well, and to be the person to be like, we're okay. You're okay. Like, that's such a huge moment. And I've seen in counseling, like, people will be like, so I have this really bad thing. And then they tell me and I'm like, okay. And they're like, what do you mean okay? And I'm like, okay. Like,
right.
Yeah. Sure. Let's talk about it. And folks are flabbergasted by the fact that somebody will like accept them even when they say the vulnerable thing. It's such a interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
So now that the cat's out of the bag, we get so much history about Ransom and his life. I alluded to this earlier, but I'll give you the full thing. Ransom explains that his name is Xavier Ransom Wolf, and that Xavier is actually his cousin Dre, who's pretending to be the prince for the past 11 years. He says that this is customary for Turin royal children to have a body double for safety reasons, but that once Ransom had gotten bitten, by the way, by the one-eyed Beowulf, and just throw that nugget in there, and contracted Lyssa, that they kept it that way ever since, because Ransom knows that he's going to die from Lyssa eventually. The Vosters are pulling this sort of infection out of his blood and giving him longevity, but he will perish at some point. Also, Evie is Ransom's sister. Oh my God. That's the thing I didn't see coming. I wasn't even thinking about that.
I had to go back and reread that, and I'm like, that's not what?
Say that again? So yeah, Evie is Ransom's sister. His mother is Luella, Evie's tutor. And Luella ran away from King Ramsay when he tried to strangle her. We'll get more into reasons why he tried to do that. There's never a good reason. They're all bad reasons, horrible reasons. But there are reasons why he tried to do that. And she has been in hiding in Eldara and caring for her daughter as her tutor ever since. And to some extent, Ransom. She wants to be there for him in any way she can. Everyone, including Evie, thinks that Xavier is her father. Dre is her father. And you know what I thought was really sweet and I liked a lot? Xavier genuinely feels like a father to her. He loves her so much, and they love each other. Have since the moment Dre met her. They have had a father-daughter connection. So they've been living like Xavier is Evie's father, and she treats him like a father ever since.
I don't want to go on a tangent, but really quickly, because we've talked about Lord John Grey.
Yeah. Oh my God, the Lord John Grey. Okay, more Outlander spoilers. Just know, if you're not a fan of Outlander, if you haven't seen the whole thing, we're about to talk about it. Go.
Oh, I didn't even go there until right now. You're saying these words.
Oh my God.
With William, who is actually Jamie's son. But Lord John Grey adopts him, loves him, raises him as his own.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Devney is an Outlander fan.
An Outlander fan, Devney, if you're listening, as I know you probably are, please let us know. Was Dre inspired by Lord John Grey? And when the answer is yes, please explain that in more depth. Yeah.
Sorry, little totally, side note there.
No, it's totally like that. He loves her like she's his own, and she obviously loves him like her dad because that's who she believes he is. And I'll tell you what, once you start telling truths and getting vulnerable, then you could start admitting that you might have sexual feelings toward each other. And there's some back and forth, but they ultimately cannot contain their feelings any longer, and they have sex. Finally! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! For so long. I waited for them to even kiss. Like, they wouldn't even, like, he wrapped his arm around her waist at some point. She's like, don't touch me like that. I'm like, oh my God. So now.
Please touch me like that.
Oh my, please. Somebody touch somebody before I effing die. So they do it. And it's so good. And I thought it was written really well. I thought it was a great moment. I thought
after all of the time waiting, this is not sexual. I was satisfied by the way that was written.
Intellectually satisfied.
And when I'm reading, that's what I'm about. Is this a satisfying read or no?
The intellectual academic satisfaction.
Let's be clear here.
You're like, I've never had a stirring in my core ever. Purely a mental exercise. Me too, girl. Me too.
For the intention of this podcast.
Yes. Cut to me in like 10 different episodes being like, I got a stir. But no, we're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about the intellectual satisfaction we received from that passage. And this sets off an intellectually great pattern of them having sex all the time. They just now are into each other. They get to be into each other. She doesn't have a reason not to. He doesn't have a reason not to. And they live in secret romantic fun. And they still pretend to the outer world that she's married to Xavier. She and Xavier still have dinners. They're like, ah, yes, my husband. And then she like goes into their suite and she's like, come here, ransom, big boy.
But it's so lovely because now Xavier and Odessa don't have to pretend with each other. Like, she can be like, I'm gonna go home and have sex with my real husband. Mm-hmm. You go do your real thing. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna keep pretending to show everyone in the kingdom that we're good, that we are like, doing this.
Yeah. And now there's real teamwork. Now everybody's consenting to what's happening. And that's, I consider, so I think there's a lot of guilt feelings around things like infidelity. And I think people focus on like the physical act of infidelity as like the crux of that. To me, infidelity is less an action than it is an attitude or a way of being. It's a destruction of trust. It's betrayal. Yeah. If you like, Dre is, I would term him as polyamorous, or some on the poly spectrum somehow.
That's what it seems.
Yeah. If you want to have multiple partners, if you want to engage in ethical non-monogamy, if you want to, like, there's so much that you can do to set up dynamics in a way that work for you. If you want to have a lavender marriage, or I forget what historically it's been called, when like queer men or women marry in like cisgender relationships so that they can have real queer relationships. Like, do what's going to work for you, as long as everybody is in the know and consenting. And that's
Yeah.
what I think happens. It's like, finally, because Odessa is in the know, everyone can fully consent to what's happening, and they don't have to bother with all this rigmarole. Like, now Odessa gets to be with her man, and Xavier gets to be with, or Dre gets to be with whoever he wants to be with, and it could stop being such a source of tension. I felt so much relief when all this happened.
Same.
I was like, thank
And I
God.
think when going back really quickly, like just to the to the satisfaction of it, like it was so many things were resolved. It was very well written. Like it was worth the wait to me. Like I was like, oh, this is totally worth it. Everything is falling into place. I feel good about this.
Yeah. I feel like Devney essentially intellectually edged everyone to the point where we wanted to cry, but then that's what made the intellectual relief that much sweeter.
Yes. Agreed.
when all of this came to fruition is essentially what it feels like. So we're in like bliss over the fact that Ransom and Odessa get to be together. And should be noted that monster attacks continue to be an issue, and that there's a Beowulf attack that happens between Trio and Eldara, and Tilia, excuse me, I accidentally put an R in our notes. Tilia and other rangers bring back two wounded men into Eldara. And that may seem like an inconsequential detail, except that Odessa's it is not inconsequential in the slightest. Odessa, it kicks off a whole bunch of shit. Odessa's walking down the street, like she's got like a pastry in her hand or something. She's like, I'm gonna go get a croissant. And one of the wounded men comes out of the infirmary, locks eyes on Odessa, and tries to strangle her. And like viciously, like single-mindedly,
like almost succeeds.
She almost dies. And as he's doing this, he's saying shit out loud to her about how he's burning up, and how he's trying to do right by the king, and that she must die. Like it's just this like single-minded, almost like zombie-like, anything, I'm burning up, I'm trying to serve the king, you must die. And Odessa ends up killing him successfully, which I feel like is, well deserved. If you try to strangle me to death, I
also
might kill
God
you.
for your training.
Oh, honestly. Well, and this is the thing where it's like, now Odessa doesn't have to be like kept in a padded room all the time, because she has the skills to protect herself. And so she uses those skills. She kills the guy. But she like passes out and is not doing well. And Ransom is furious. He comes charging back to Eldara, and he is so mad, and he's so guilty for not being there. And he spends 2 weeks with Odessa while she recovers. Much of that not doing sexy time. Like he's like, no,
just with
you're hurt. With her, in her presence, holding her, all this stuff. I did have a question about guilt and Ransom, but I almost feel like we addressed it in previous conversations. Was there anything else that came up? Because this, I think, was another example of him feeling guilty about something that's not his fucking fault.
Right, yeah.
But did you have any thoughts about how the guilt comes up in this scenario?
I mean, kind of just the things that we talked about. I mean, just this idea of he's the fucking guardian. Like he is there to protect all these people. And of course, right when things fall into place with his wife, this fucking happens. And just like the devastation of like my negligence is unforgivable. Like she almost died. And just again, like feeling like he owes her, he has to like make up to her that he wasn't there, and she's just like, dude, I'm good. I'm fine.
Like,
I know you weren't there. I don't blame you.
well, because you aren't to be blamed here. Like,
Exactly.
how in the world could you have anticipated any of this? You've left me here on different ranging missions where I've been fine. Like, you had no
Yeah.
reason to believe that something bad was going to happen. So, like, chill out. And I want to say that to him too. Like, chill out. So it's important to note here that after this attack, really, like, I feel like Odessa has been putting together so many pieces, and she even has a part that where she writes, like her inner dialogue is like, I have all these pieces and I know they fit together somehow, but I'm like really struggling to figure out how that is. But one of the things that's helping her put things together is the fact that Kathleen, who was Trio's librarian, but also is now living in Eldara and helping Luella and other things, has been giving Odessa these books about folklore, about the history of Calandra and Tura, about any bunch of different topics. And once she's recovered, Odessa is like really trying to put this all together about the Lissa, her father, Ransom's father. She's like, I picture in The Hangover when Zach Galifianakis is coming down the escalator and all the numbers are like flying across his vision.
Yes.
And she's like, Alisaria, the Lissa, the Voster, alchemical magical creatures, the gods, all this stuff. She finally goes to confront Kathleen because she's like, she suspects that Kathleen is hiding information, and Kathleen is literally unable to speak about it. And so Odessa goes, you're under a blood oath. Who are you under a blood oath to? And they figure out that it is Luella. Luella is the one who holds. Yes. Luella is the one that holds Kathleen's blood oath, and Ransom and Odessa confront Luella, and she reveals several things. A lot of this stuff comes out. It's like in bits and pieces. I'm just going to give it to y'all. I'm going to give it to you right in a row. Number one, throughout Ransom's childhood, Luella, and by the way, as I mentioned earlier, Luella is Ransom's mother, who's been hiding out as Evie's tutor. So keep that in your framework. Throughout Ransom's childhood, she had been working on elixirs with an alchemist named Mikhail, and they were trying to create elixirs that heal people using the byproducts of various beasts that lived in Calandra. They realized that because these beasts are of the gods, they had magic, latent magic, that kind of seeped out in these byproducts. Interestingly enough, in the midst of this work, she also falls in love with Mikhail and was having an affair with him behind the King Ramsay's back. And it's interesting to note that King Ramsay actually deeply loves Luella, but she was never able to return that love because she loved Mikhail first. So they're doing these experiments and doing bedroom experiments, and they keep using the elixirs on themselves until they get a handful that they feel like could be really helpful for things like speeding up healing, bettering eyesight, all those things. At some point in his I don't remember how old he was when he got this injury, but it was in childhood some point. He got an injury and his mom used an elixir to help him heal, which it absolutely did. But then later, he got bitten by a one-eyed werewolf, and the elixir mixed with the magic in the werewolf's bite and became Lissa. Therefore, Ransom and the one-eyed werewolf are the epicenter, the start of the Lissa infection. And since then, the original werewolf has been biting other animals who have then been biting other animals that have then contracted Lissa. And that's why, and of course, Ransom's not going around infecting other people with Lissa. So it's only coming up in the beasts in the world because the werewolf keeps spreading it. This is devastating for Ransom. He is like, I am the reason this whole thing exists, da-da-da. You and I know that this is in no way Ransom's fault. Like, no. You don't own, like, and especially in childhood, you don't own so much of what happens in childhood. Like, no, sweet man. And Odessa tries to tell him this. She's like, this is not on you. Like, she's trying to encourage him, but he feels feelings about it.
Yes,
and
yes.
Luella says that Ramsay found out about this, went to go confront her about it, saw that she was having an affair, tried to strangle her. She got away. Those are the reasons I was talking about earlier for why he reacted as he did. Not that they are ones I accept ever. No one should ever be harmed physically for any reason. It doesn't matter. But those are his reasons. And Ramsay, because he knows that she had done this, but wasn't involved in the science itself, has been sort of haphazardly trying to replicate it. Because he sees how strong and fast Ransom is, he wants a whole army of Ransoms. And he's been injecting the magical substances from various god beasts into his soldiers, like slipshod kind of. Just like, maybe we'll inject this and see what happens. But all it's doing is making them go insane and essentially do things like the man that attacked Odessa did. It is not working out. It's not producing the outcomes that I think Ramsay is hoping for. So I want to pause here because now this adds a whole other thing about Luella. What stuck out to you about Luella's psychology, the development of her character? Like, how were you making sense of her in this moment?
The first thing I was thinking was just, this lady has been through so much fucking shit. Like,
yeah,
when we talk about, and no, we don't need to go in, but like, when the crux has happened before, like what people do is they build these shelters underground and they go and they stay there until the crux is over. And her whole family, she got married off to the king and she was safe from the crux, and her whole family died because they were in this place and they didn't have great ventilation and just all of these reasons. So she survives. She survives her entire family dying.
Yeah.
She has this person who she's in love with, and it's not the king. And then they're found out Mikhail is killed by Ramsay. She is almost killed. Like, she knows that she has done this thing to her son. She gave this elixir to him, and then he got bit, and now he is this, quote, monster. Like, she has this baby. And at this point, I don't think Ramsay knows whose child she is.
Nope.
We do, right? We know.
It's Ramsay's.
It is.
I believe it's Ramsay's.
She is. Yes, I was going to say, we know that Evie is, in fact, full-blooded sibling to Ransom. But she also is in a place where she knows that Ramsay's going to come after her. She cannot raise her daughter as her daughter. Like, there are just so fucking many things for Luella that I feel for her. And then there's the part where I'm like, fuck you. Why did you do these things? Like, you. And it's so much. It is such a dumpster fire where I think that she had the best intentions ever. And I think that she is coming to the point where she knows, like, good intentions. That's not going to be enough. I am trying to actively find a cure to reverse Alyssa, to cure it so that my son can live. And Ransom this whole time is like, there's no cure. Like, shut up, Ransom.
Literally,
there is gonna be.
Listen, I can't tell you how many fantasy books I've read where the main male character is like, I would cross realms and dimensions. I would perjure my soul in order to save you. Here and what I want to highlight is that all of the FMCs out there are just as fucking willing. Like, yes. I want Odessa at some point. I think it's going to come up because she's been saying, she's like, no, we're not giving up. No, we're not giving up. At some point, I want a speech from Odessa like that, where she's like, listen, I will defy every god in the pantheon
Yes.
to make you live. You are not fucking leaving me, so shut up. Like, I need that level of intensity from Odessa so that Ransom could stop saying that shit. I'm over it.
Yes.
We're not letting you go. It's not happening. I really like, although moving back to Luella, I love how conflicted, like that conflict you have about her character. I have very similar feelings. I can see, and I think this is a counselor thing too. I can see the reasons why. I can look at all of the trauma that she has experienced and be like, how would she have known any different? How would she have done any different? How could I expect her to navigate things in a different way? Like, hindsight's 2020. Like, I'm frustrated from the perspective of someone that's already heard the whole story. And so I want to have empathy for her. And I think I do to a certain degree. The thing that the part that gets me is so I have some interactions with academia at certain levels, and there's a thing that I've seen from, even I would even say, like, the medical establishment, like certain academic minds who have academic curiosity and good intentions and want to make the world better, and they miss the forest through the trees. It's like, if you are not careful, if you are not empathetic and stop and think about what you're doing and think about the consequences, like, you can end up harming people. And I think that's what she gives me a little bit. She's like, well, this could be so great for the world and I could fix it. And it's like, yes. And you put your son on the line without fully knowing what you were getting into before you did it. And there's a part of me that's like, you should have been doing large scale trials or something before you ever gave that to your effing son. Like, there's like a public health dynamic that I'm like, there should have been like testing done or something. But I think for me, it's like, I like the fact that we both feel conflicted, because it means her character is crunchy. There's like stuff that's like, I don't know how to feel about you. And that's how good characters are made. It's like,
absolutely,
she's not totally good or bad in my mind. There's a mix of things going on, and I really I'm stuck in the middle somewhere about her.
Yeah.
So we find out all of this, and it's all very shocking. And Ransom, out of this discovery, decides that he has to go to Alisaria and speak with his father to try and convince him to stop these experiments. And they agree that in that process, Ramsey should not know about how Ransom's own condition came about, to prevent him from trying to do it to the others. Because they know that if Ramsey figured it out, he would just start doing it to people. And they're like, no. So he tells Odessa to stay in Eldara, and she agrees, which I think this was a really cool example, I think, of her hanging back for the right reasons. She was like, I don't want any blood oaths to any people that I can't take back. I don't know how helpful I'd be in Alisaria. And I feel like, and she makes a plan to go to Quentis to try and convince her father to help. So she's like, I could be helpful somewhere else. I'm reticent to go there for very valid reasons. And I think that's a great example of, like, you hang back because it makes sense, not because someone else has told you that you have to.
Right.
Which I liked. But before either of them can leave to take up these plans, Ramsey shows the fuck up in Eldara, and everyone's freaking out because they're like, why is he here? Does he know Luella's here and he's here for her? Is he here to retrieve Ransom because the month is up? Is he here to meddle with Lissa in some way? Like, they don't know, but he's rolling up on force. He's got like army people behind him. And they stop. There's like a little bit of a pause at the gate where they're like, what do we do? And then Ramsey's like, well, I mean, we kind of got to let him in. It's his kingdom. Like, what good reason do we have for not? So they let him in, and he brings his force with him. And they are there under the auspices of warning Eldara that a sentinel has been seen flying around Tura. A sentinel is a crux, one of the crux, a singular one, that flies out to scout before the invasion occurs. This happens every time the migration happens. They'll see one or two crux, and then the whole invasion happens. And this is terrifying because it is almost a full year before they expected it. So people are not ready. People are not entirely ready for this. He also, after the whole crux dynamic, is there to retrieve Luella and bring her back to Alisaria for nefarious reasons. I don't know if it's to kill her, to imprison her. We're not totally sure. I mean, he's going to hurt her in some way, but we don't know what the nature of that is going to be. He also wants to apprehend Odessa because Brother Dime from the Voster want her. And we didn't go into this piece because it's kind of just a random thing that happens and then doesn't pop up again till this moment. So figure just bring it up now. But earlier in the narrative, one of the Voster grabbed Odessa's wrist and it hurt her really badly. Like, as much as the magic pains her just by being around it, when they touch her, she's like in excruciating pain. She can't think. She falls down. And so it makes them realize something about her, but we don't know what it is. They're just like, oh. And Brother Dime and the head Voster guy talk about it, and they're like, I told you she was, I knew it was her, or like, I didn't know. So they know some shit that we don't know. And I don't fucking like it.
Me neither.
And they bring fucking Banner to Odessa's ex-fiance, to Eldara, for him to get vengeance on Ransom. Ransom at some point previous to this.
And to get his fiance. And to
Who
get his fiance.
Brielle. Oh my God.
Odessa. Sorry.
He wants to kill Ransom because Ransom had killed his brother, who was a sex trafficker, by the way.
Right. Yes.
But Banner's seeking vengeance, and he wants to get Brielle, who is in love with Banner. And Odessa knew that Banner loved somebody back in Quentis before she left. She didn't know who it was. It's Brielle. And then finally, we are given the information that Jocelyn is a spy for the king of Quentis, and that she's been a spy the whole time. All of the crying she did was fake.
Fuck her.
And she was, So all that comes out, and everyone's like, shit. Like, I almost don't know where to like put my panic. I'm panicking about it all.
Yes.
But just as things are about to get panicky on that, a crux attacks Eldar. There's so much interpersonal chaos that it needs to manifest in physical chaos. And let me tell you something. There is so much violence and death that comes from just one crux. And they talk about the fact that crux are these giant violent birds throughout the thing. But when this attack is talked about, you get the full physical description because it's the first time that Odessa's seeing one in real life. They are huge. Their claws are like make these like 6-inch divots in things. Like, they are huge and violent. And a bunch of stuff happens in the midst of that violence. Luella and Jocelyn die during the attack. Odessa says also that Brielle died because she gets thrown up in the air, but we don't see a body. So I'm like, if I don't see the body, in fantasy world, if I don't see a body, it doesn't mean shit. So she thinks that Brielle's dead. Banner tries to kill Odessa in retaliation for Ransom killing Banner's brother, and Odessa ends up killing Banner, but Banner gravely wounds Xavier, and Evie's freaking out, but they can't stop to help him. So Odessa like whistles for help and then has to go, and I'll get into that in a second. Tilia's husband loses a leg and is badly wounded. And ultimately, King Ramsay and his force need to retreat. There's like, we can scheme another day. We can scheme another day about Luella and everybody else. Like, I gotta go. And so Odessa, in the midst of all this, goes and gets Evie and Faze, the little lion wig baby, and retrieves. Previous to this, Evie had shown Odessa a stash of books that Luella had in a secret hiding place under her room. One of which is a book that has a wing on it that matches what's on Odessa's
her pendant.
Yep. And what they decide is Odessa and Evie are going to run for the dungeons and take a secret tunnel out of Eldara. And so Odessa's in the middle of doing that. She's got Faye's like strapped to her front. Evie's like, she's got all the shit on her. And she runs into Banner, takes out Banner, whistles for help to get Xavier some assistance, but keeps moving. And she briefly sees Ransom, who's fighting the Crux. And she's like, I promise I'll take care of Evie. He's like, I'm going to defeat this thing and then I'm going to come find you. They kiss, or he kisses her on the forehead or something. And then he is literally in the clutches of the Crutch. Like the Crux takes him up in its talon, and he is fighting that. When Odessa and Evie get to the dungeons, Brother Dime is waiting there with Odessa's horse, whose name is Freya, by the way. Fun fact.
I love that.
Yeah. And he tells her to go with him. And she really doesn't want to. She does not like him. She does not like how their magic feels. But seeing no other way, she goes with him and agrees. I have so many thoughts about that, but we're going to keep going. Ransom kills the Crux and is taking stock of all the damage. And when he killed the Crux, it transformed into a red-headed woman, a woman with hair like Odessa's. And he cuts a lock off of this dead woman's hair and pockets it. And then he's like, time to figure out what the fuck's going on and time to go find my wife. And the book.
And it's over.
And we, like, the curtain drops and that's all we effing get. That's all we get from this. Oh my God. I have many thoughts. But I would love to know, at the end of it all, Emily, what sticks out to you about the psychology of the characters, the relationships, where we are left off in this narrative?
First I have to like hold my brain in my head because of everything that just happened. But just the huge shifts from people thinking that they have to fulfill certain roles and I have to do this thing to I can do and be multiple things and I can help people. I can allow other people to help me. And just this kind of overwhelming, like, I'm worthy of love, which I think is a huge shift for so many of the characters, especially like the last, the last friggin' like 15 pages of the book where all of this happens and you're like,
oh my God.
Like we just lost this. There were, huge things like Banner and Jocelyn coming, like all of these things where it's like, you know what? My focus is my chosen family. My focus is surviving and I'm going to do what I can. But at the end of the day, Odessa promises Ransom, I'm going to take care of Evie. And Ransom says, I'm going to find my wife. And I love that.
I just got chills when you said that. I'm going to find my wife. You fucking better, dude, because I'm so nervous. I think something that Devney did really well was make sure that the characters start this book in a very different place than when they ended it. That's masterful.
Yes.
And number two, both Odessa and Ransom are the people, like top of the book, them could never have handled what just happened. Like, end of the book, them, they are the people they needed to be in order to go to the second book. Like, they are now who they need to be in order to handle what's about to happen and what has just occurred. And so I think that is such a masterful weaving of like character development to be like imagine plopping beginning of book Odessa into that scenario and having her handle it. Never.
Dead. She'd be dead.
Literally dead. She would be dead. And so recognizing that takes great planning and work on an author's part to be like, my characters are ready to meet a moment, and I just hope that what comes next, like, I want that arc to continue, that
yes,
Odessa and Ransom are ready to meet whatever comes next, because I think there's going to be a lot. Yeah. So, and we will get into that in our thoughts and theories, our future thoughts and theories. But I figure it might be a good time to take a little break, have a little water or something. And when we come back, we will go over our teehee moments, our therapy deep dive, and our future thoughts and theories. See you in a moment. Bye. All right, everybody, welcome back to Emily and I's analysis of The Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. We have gone through the plots and the thoughts. We have journeyed with our characters, and now it is time for our tee-hee moments. And this is just really anytime we feel Twitter-pated, anytime our little hearts go pitter-patter, anytime we feel that intellectual heat in our core, like anytime we just feel something, this is the time for teehee moments. So Emily, why don't you start it off? What were your teehee moments?
Every fucking time.
No hesitation. No.
The Guardian calls Odessa my queen. Every time.
Oh my
because
God.
At the beginning, you don't know. Like, you're just like, is he a dick? Like, what? Is he just being a jerk? What the fuck is his problem? And you then, with the big reveal, and you're like, oh, my heart. I knew I loved him, but I love him more now.
Oh, I will say, and here's the thing, I don't always catch things. I'm not, like, there are times where things totally miss me. The first time he said my queen, I was like, he's literally telling you, girl. He's literally telling you, girl. He's calling you his queen. Does that not? No? He's what? I was like, he's literally that, and him saying, where's your home? And she keeps saying Roslo. I'm like, you gotta stop fucking saying that, girl.
Yes.
He's testing you and you're not passing, girl. Like, I'm like, oh my God. So I literally, every time he said my queen, I was like, he's telling you, he's saying it.
Yes.
And
Lady,
he gets so sad. Yeah. But again, she has a lot going on. I gotta pull empathy. But he like, my favorite is when he like draws close to her and like says it in low voice, like my queen. I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yes, that, and with kind of like in combination of every time they're having a little spat, and Odessa's just like, I hate you. And he just looks at her, and I just picture in my head, like, he just kind of like smirks at her, and he's just like, yeah, you do. Don't forget. Don't forget that you hate me. And I'm just like, oh,
and we all know hate is a proxy for love. Like,
yes.
Like, he knows it. She figures it out and knows it. Like, he's like, yeah, you do. Yeah, I see you. Yeah. Number one, I see you looking at my rippling pectorals. Number two, that heat in your gaze right now, that's not hate, babe. But okay, we'll play that game. Yeah, you do hate me. Yes. Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh. And so, like, so many, I don't want to say all of them, because so many of yours, like, same. I loved, let me finish, because if you don't, it's going to sound really bad. After she was attacked by the soldier with green blood who tried to choke her out, and he goes and he stays with her, and like she's trying to get information. She's like this, and he's just like, I don't want to do this right now. And she's just like, I am not made of glass. And he looks at her and he goes, I know you're not. And I'm just like, I love you. I love you. And then backing up just a smidge, the entirety of chapter 52, when they come together and they're chatting and they're getting it on, and in one point, my choice is you. And I was just like, oh, Okay. And then the last line of that chapter of "We're just getting started, wife." Like, I don't know, like there's something
Oh.
where there is just something about, not in a bad way, in a very consensual, very loving, like that ownership, even in my own life. Like when my husband will be like, call me his wife or his lady or his love, or like when it's that idea of you're mine, I'm yours. Like there is just, it's just nice. I just like it.
I just like that. I just am real into that. Oh, girl. Yes. I love that you highlight the I'm not made of glass thing. It's the ability to be like, I want to help you recover and I want to be tender with you, but
Yeah.
and do not ever mistake that as I think you are weak or that I don't think you are capable. Like I'm here trying to help you and tend to you because you're hurt. But I just love that she asserts that. She's like, I'm okay. Like, let me define if I'm okay or not, and I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch, and I never go through all of them because it's just too much. But I will pick out a couple of them just to whatever. I'm gonna pick one from early on. It's not super spicy. It's not, but like I just love early banter, early mentions to things where it's like, ooh, I felt a tingle. On page 139, the Guardian Ransom says, "Praises for the bedroom cross, not the training ring." And then she thinks, "The image of him in a darkened room, shirtless, whispering praise into my ear, popped into my head before I could stop it." Oh, did it? Tell me again how you hate him. Tell me
bet
again.
it did.
Say again that you hate him. I want to hear you say that shit, Odessa. Okay? So that was like an early on, he was just like, ooh. Page 203. And this is a maneuver that I just love from people in fantasy books. "The Guardian's finger hooked under my chin, forcing me to meet his gaze. Need a moment?" Oh, number one, hook my chin, so I have to meet your gaze. Wow. Number two, you're calling me on my shit. You're like, because in this moment, she's like fantasizing about him, and he's like, "Hey, you need a moment?" Saucy. Sorry,
Yes.
I'm gonna go through a few of these because I can't help
That's
myself.
okay. They're great, all of them.
Page 305, another trope I love. He says, this is after I think the Lionwick attack where she saves those two kids. He says, Where are you hurt? His voice was frantic. "I'm okay." And that's Odessa responding. And then she says, "He took my face in his hands, dropping his forehead to mine. His thumb traced my cheek and tingles exploded on my skin. You're okay." You're so frantic over the thought that I might be hurt that you cannot regulate until you know that I'm okay. Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. Then I'm going to skip down past a few and go for page 427, which is a part I'm going to just expand on that last line, the "my choice is you," because I think this is like one of those world-ending declarations where he says to Odessa, "When I am nothing but dust and ash, Tura will endure. I do not need a crown, and I have made my peace with my destiny. But before I step into my grave, my choice is you." Number one, stop talking about you dying. It's not happening. Shut up. But he's like, all the rest of it is whatever. Yeah. This is my choice. God. And then I also had "We are just getting started, wife," because there's nothing like she was like, "Oh, that was such a good round of stuff." So wonder if he's sleepy, and he's like, "Oh, girl, we're just getting started." And she's like, "Oh boy." Oh, brother. So those were our teehee moments. Those were the things that made us Twitter-pated. And I think we got a good crop. For how long the spice took to develop. We got a good, nice crop. So now that leads us to our therapy deep dive. And this is where we take what we learned from the book and bring it out to the everyday space. Like, what can people take away from this, or what can they use sort of in their day-to-day life? And I've highlighted 3 themes that I saw, 2 or 3, I can't know, it was 3 themes that I saw throughout this book. And so I'm just going to introduce the theme, ask you about it, get your perspective. So the first one is one that we alluded to earlier around trust and trust building. Throughout the book, Odessa is lied to or left out of a lot of conversations for lots of different reasons. Some of them I think are valid, some not. But she heavily interprets this as people in her sphere not trusting her because there's something wrong with her. She goes in the book, she really starts believing at the top of the book she is not worthy to be trusted because she's too weak. She can't do it. And then as she goes across the book, she really starts embodying her identity and trusting herself more, recognizing that she is trustworthy. And I think there's a lot that happens here for Odessa. There's a lot other sort of intricate dynamics that are included in that. But it made me think about how we as counselors are trained to build trust with our clients, and then also help clients address issues of trust in their own lives. So I'm curious, what do you see in your clinical spaces around trust and trust building? And how can folks work on building trust with others and being more trustworthy?
Like I have kind of said and alluded to several times throughout today, like I do a lot of trauma work, and I do a lot of trauma work where trust has been broken, whether from a romantic partner or from an organization, where there was so much trust, you do it because that's what they say to do. And so I think that it has been very interesting to see people who come to me for trauma versus something else, depression, anxiety, and to see the difference in, not that I count, but how many sessions does it take for us to settle? Because there's been so much where trust has been lost, where it's like, if I tell you this, kind of what you were speaking to before, like, are you going to judge me? Or is there going to be a look on your face? Is there going to be something that tells me you're not safe and I can't talk to you about this? And so being able to go in and teach, but also model, like, you don't have to be self-reliant in every single thing that you do. I can help you. I can sit here and I can hold you and be here with you while we process this. Or, you know, you don't have to predict how I'm going to react, or you don't have to manage me. I have a lot of that with clients where they'll be like, I want to tell you something, but I don't want you to be upset. And I have to, have these conversations of, oh no, you don't have to worry about that. This is your time. Even if this helps you feel a little bit better, in the back of your mind, I go to my own counselor. If there's stuff that comes up for me, I'm going to take that and I'm going to take it to my person. That's not going to be for you to hold. And so kind of building a relationship where we build trust through doing it and modeling and following through, to where then they can feel more confident in trusting themselves and looking for green flags, red flags out in the world of, this is who I can trust. This is what trust feels like. And this is where maybe I need to be a little bit more aware and cautious going forward in these types of situations.
I like one that you highlight. There's a balance dynamic here. Like, we're not saying trust anybody and everybody and throw your, your secrets to everyone. It's about getting a barometer for who can we trust. And if you're too far on either end, if you don't trust anybody, there's something to work on. If you trust everybody, that's also something to work on. You really, I think you highlight the importance of being able to take these small risks or vulnerabilities with trust, people who are either trained or are in your life and who have shown that they can be trusted, and being able to sit in that space and give it a little try, like test it out a little bit, give someone a little nugget of information about you and see what they do with it. And then the other thing that I like that you highlight is, what is it to be the receiver of vulnerability or someone attempting to trust you? And what I like is that you highlight the importance of being able to be like, hey, whatever you say next, I'm here with you. Like, I'm here with you, and I'm going to sit with you, and we're going to, like, I'm not going to run away if you get vulnerable with me.
Yeah.
So recognizing that in order to be someone who is trustworthy, it involves you listening to folks and being there to, and it doesn't mean you always agree with people. There are things
Mm-hmm.
that the person across from you might say something and it's not something that's within your values. There are limits. There's, safety. If you're being unsafe, like, think about
Sure.
that. But within the context of safety and, all of that stuff, if someone's being vulnerable with you, I find the best way to show up is to just show that you're willing to sit there and hear their perspective and hold their vulnerability in a non-judgmental way, and be able to have, it feels like ego integrity, almost like have the strength and the
Mm-hmm.
integrity to be able to sit and listen to hard things, be able to sit and listen to people say things that are difficult or crunchy or that they don't know how to articulate, and be there and be patient. I think as a counselor, it's one of, I think, the joys of the work to be able to be like, I'm still here with you, and like,
Yeah.
take your time while you say it. If you have to whisper it, if you have to, like, whatever you got to do, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and if you want a course in trust building, become a counselor. That's
Oh boy.
so much
Yeah.
of the work that we do. It's just to be
Mm-hmm.
people who are trustworthy. So shout out to the counseling profession for that.
Woo-woo.
Our next topic here is around identity shifts and identity formation. At the start of Odessa's story, she has a very solidified vision of herself, of her future, what she can and cannot do, what she should and should not do. And while I think there's some underlying discomfort with the role that she's been placed into, she's mostly accepted it as the forgotten princess. She kind of says it nonchalantly. She's like, yeah, I'm the forgotten princess, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and I'm engaged to Banner and it'll be fine. And like, I'll have his kids and it'll be good. Like, she's kind of just okay with it. Her marriage to Xavier Ransom shifts all of that. And she feels at the start that she really doesn't have the ability to embody a new identity or a different role. And on page 255, there's this quote that just so stuck out to me. It says, I was never supposed to be here. I was not the right person to be Sparrow. I wasn't brave enough, strong enough. She's like, I do not have what it takes to do this. And over time, this shifts a lot, as we've talked about. And you see her embody her role more and more, even to the point of declaring toward the end, she's like, I'm going to be the future queen of Tura, bitch. And we're all like, all of a sudden she's queen.
All right.
All of a sudden she's queen. So this made me think a lot about how across people's lives, they are faced with identity or role shifts or choose to engage in a role shift. So there are things like divorce, changing careers, becoming a parent, taking on a new interest. There's lots of ways that our roles or identities shift across our life. So what kind of things do you see folks facing when they're considering or contending with a role or identity shift? And what would you recommend to someone who is stepping into a new role or a new identity?
Yeah. One thing I've experienced myself, especially stepping into the counseling profession, is imposter syndrome. This idea of, I don't exactly like that quote, like, I'm not enough. I'm not brave enough. Like, I remember when I sat with my first client and just sitting there being like, I don't actually know what I'm not qualified to be doing this. And having to sit with that and sit with the discomfort of, okay, what about this feels factual and true, but also what part doesn't? What are some truths that I can pull from that say, wait a second, no, I've been in this program for 2 years, learning the ins and outs of communication, of just being able to, I mean, one of the biggest things, you know this from the program where I went in Idaho, is, can you sit in the chair and just be with a client? And remembering all of the things, like remembering the things that I learned, and even sitting with clients and teaching different people, okay, when you have that imposter syndrome, you're normal. Welcome. Congratulations. And when you're having those pieces of, trying to figure out, what does this look like? How do I fit? How does this work? Going back to remembering and anchoring to core values. What are the things that are important to you? There are times when we have a significant change. We get to grieve that it's a loss of, this is who I was. Now this is who I am. What does this look like? And being able to just sit and say, okay, yes, there have been changes. There's been growth. There's been things that you've learned. And how are you still the same? What are these values that you still hold on to? They're still there. You're still in there. There's just these other things that we get to put on top of it, around it. And just reminding people, you're still the same person, and you've grown. You're more than you used to be, because that's part of life. Part of life is progression and learning and these things. And it's not bad or wrong to be different or to shift throughout your life.
I love, it's almost like what I'm hearing you say is like, there's a foundation of selfhood that regardless of what context you're in, that selfhood exists. And so even if I'm in a new situation, even if I'm trying a task that maybe I've never tried before, or, I'm a new parent and I don't know how the hell this is supposed to go, there are values, there are parts of my selfhood that no matter what situation I'm in, prepare me for this moment. And I love that. It's that sort of that buoy in the storm. And that I think is the second part to me, is like comfort with discomfort. Like, even if you have the buoy of selfhood, it's still a storm, right? Like, you might feel uncomfortable. You might mess up. You might do something and realize it wasn't in alignment with your values. Like, there's giving ourselves the opportunity to be uncomfortable and to figure it out in an experiential way. And I love that you highlight the experience of like, and I remember my first client ever. Like, I remember the first time I sat down with someone and I was just like, what is happening? and there's something to be said for lived experience. Like, I don't know what I don't know, and I won't know until I'm there doing it. And so being able to recognize that role shifts and identity shifts are experiential, and there's going to be discomfort. So like, when it happens, why don't I get curious about it instead of like,
for sure,
turning it into a selfhood thing. Yeah. I tell clients too that there's a recognition that this process is iterative and that you are able to change your mind at any time. So like, there are certain things that you can do in a certain way or differently that will change your experience of the role shift, and you get to decide. There's sort of this like element of like, where do we have control, where do we have choice, and how can we use that to help us navigate this as well. Okay, so I have one more therapy deep dive element, and then we'll go into our thoughts and theories, which I know we are jonesing for. So the last one is not something that I feel like was highlighted throughout the book, but something that really struck me toward the end of the book, which is around centering women's pleasure and what I like to call orgasm equity. And a lot of places will call it orgasm equality, but given the physiology of women, like women, or I shouldn't even say women, people with vulvas just have the ability, and clitorises have the ability to like orgasm much more. So I don't want to call it equality, but equity. One thing that I really liked about Odessa's story is that she starts the narrative with some sexual experience. I like when this happens because it's a contrast to so many stories where the female main character starts the narrative without any sexual experiences. And you'll hear me, I'm not using the word virginity because I think virginity is so like heterosexual and cisgender. It's just like P in V. Like, well, what if someone's a lesbian and never has sex with a person who has a penis? Like, Does that mean all of their sexual experiences aren't real? I would contend that that's not true. So I say it, a narrative of someone without sexual experience. And I like that she bucks that trope. And instead of the sort of her sexual development having to do with navigating her first sexual experience, she is instead navigating the difference between sex that centers women's pleasure and sex that doesn't. And on page 437, she comments that she didn't know sex could be so profound when the focus was on her orgasming before Ransom does. She's really like, wow, I didn't know it could be this good. Like with my previous partners, this just hasn't been a thing. So this made me think of the fact that I have seen many women, and I would say anybody who's not a cisgender man, in clinical and non-clinical spaces, navigating, understanding, and prioritizing their pleasure when it comes to sex, and how many messages there are about centering cisgender men's pleasure. Like it's sort of all focused on cisgender men orgasming or whatever. What do you notice in relation to gender dynamics in sexual relationships and pleasure? And what advice would you give to someone who is looking to explore or center their sexual pleasure in a romantic relationship or encounter?
I could literally talk to you about this for hours because this is a huge, huge part of a lot of the religious trauma that I work with. I don't know whether or not to get like super specific or not. Like I with the states that I am licensed in, I work a lot with people who have left the Mormon church. I myself was raised in that church, was very deep into it, and am now out. A huge, huge part that I experience and encounter with clients is women, and I'm going to be very general as far as terms, women who come to me and are so emotional about the way we were taught growing up is your role as a woman is to pleasure your husband. You as a woman, you are not sexual. If you're aroused, that's kind of odd. Women don't have that. Your job is to please your man. If your husband is unfaithful, if he looks at pornography, it is because you have not fulfilled your role in the bedroom. So much harm, so much pain that comes with that I've seen with people that I've met with. I think, speaking specifically to the clients that I see, and I think that it's somewhat common with Christianity in America, is the man's pleasure is where it's at. I hear stories of, oh, well, my husband finished and then we were done. And having conversations of, working around shame of, it is okay for you to be aroused. It is okay for you to want and seek pleasure with your partner. That is totally okay. Let's talk about how healthy that is. And moving away from this situation or these experiences of, oh, well, I pleased my man. I did what I needed to do. I don't matter. Over to, it is totally okay to explore your body and to know what you like and to be able to say what you want and what you don't want. And having conversations, doing a lot of processing with clients to help them become more aware of their body sensations and getting away from performance or looking at communication. I like to say, I think it's funny. Practice. It is totally okay to practice with yourself, to practice with your partner, to practice. That's how you figure out what you like, what you don't like, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And just being able, there's a lot of conversation about being able to feel connected to a partner while staying present so that you're not all up in your head of like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And oh gosh, I'm not. One of the biggest things that is really, really hard with the clients that I see, because specifically in the Mormon church and the LDS church, there's no sex before marriage. And when you get married to someone, like, it's that person and no one else for the rest of your life while you're married. One thing I think is so incredibly important to remember is there is such a thing as sexual chemistry. And there are people that you are very compatible with, and there are people that you're not. And it doesn't mean that someone's doing something wrong or that there's something wrong with you, but kind of having conversations and having thoughts around, pick someone who treats you with respect and doesn't treat you like your pleasure is a bonus. Be with people who want you to feel as good as they do, and that it's the giving, receiving. It's both ways. It's not just, oh, thank you for providing this service for me, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So much good stuff to unpack there. Like, truly, like, you bring up so many good things, and there's a couple that are especially highlighted to me as we're talking about this. One is the reciprocation element. Like, if we are, let's say, if you're monogamous partners, we are two people, or if you're polyamorous, or how many people you're interacting with, if we as a couple or as a group are all dedicated to our mutual pleasure, meaning everybody, whoever's involved, is getting something out of this, getting what they want out of it, as much as we can make that happen, how powerful it can be to come from that place, as opposed to this, what feels to me like this very patriarchal, like, I'm here for you, I'm here as a servant to your pleasure, and whatever happens to me or with me is inconsequential. Like, what a paradigm shift to be like, we are all sharing in the responsibility to pleasure here. That's why we're all here, and everyone has a responsibility to it. And the other piece that I really like that you bring up is the performance element. So many folks, and this I think has to do with the getting up in our head component. So many people that I talk to are so concerned with, what do I look like? Am I making the right noises at the right time? Am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right position? Am I in the right pose? Do I look cute while I'm doing it? Am I like, and I think some of my some of my thoughts about this come out of actually fat activism and like fatness in fat spaces, or in sort of fat activist thinking. There's a recognition that society has deemed a fat body like automatically unattractive for whatever reason, which I think is total BS. As a fat lady, I reject all of that. But I think in discussions that fat folks have around sex, it's like, okay, well, my body has been deemed unattractive anyway, so I'm coming in losing this like attractiveness performance battle anyway. Like there's no way for me to be cute, so just shut off the lights, or don't look at me, don't, I want to cover myself because there's no way for me to win this attractiveness performance battle. And I think what is so powerful, or what I've seen be powerful for folks, is the recognition that the seeking of pleasure has nothing to do with anybody looking attractive or hot or cute. Like, I'm telling, like, there's just no way to really explore sexuality and get vulnerable and try new things and always look hot. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not gonna, I'm like, it's just not gonna happen. So, and in some ways the body, and there's a book called More Than a Body, and the whole tagline is around, the body is an instrument, not an ornament, meaning that I'm here, my body is here to help me do things. It's not here for you to think it's pretty, right? And now I think there can be something really great about loving your body and like finding beauty in it in the way that works for you. But at the end of the day, it's like, if our main objective is pleasure, who kind of cares if we look cute while we're seeking that out? So I think it's been really powerful for clients, and just folks that I've talked to remember that it really isn't about being hot, or cute, or, whatever, like sounding the perfect way. It's about pleasure. And anybody who enforces you having to be hot every moment of a sexual encounter probably doesn't have your best interests at heart, probably doesn't have your pleasure at heart. And I mean, I think both you and I could talk about this forever, but but I what I really like that you bring to the space is just an ability to set ourselves up to be curious about our bodies, curious about our pleasure, and not to make it something based on someone else's expectations or this sort of patriarchal ideal.
Yeah. And I also think too, like, as people are able to do this, of course, like in a safe place with a safe person or safe people, that it's another one of those experiential things. You do this and then your confidence grows with it. And then you feel more rooted in it, and you're way more comfortable to say, I don't give a shit what I look like. I know that if I do these things with this person or these people, man, it's going to be a great time. And it's focused more on the actual experience of it. And again, I think it comes with time. I think it comes with having those experiences where you can then say, oh man, I remember when that was a fear or that was a concern. And now, oh man, I just like to go and do X, Y, Z.
Well, and I think that's where the communication piece comes that you've highlighted as well, is like, sometimes you might try something that you didn't know if you were going to like, and you love it. And it's like,
sure,
hell yeah. And it's like, how do we, a lot of times in that vein, it's a lot about normalizing and like getting rid of shame. Like someone will be like, I really like this, but I feel like it's weird. And it's like, I promise you it's not. Just like, if everybody is safe and consenting and having a good time. Yeah. And then I think that it can go the other direction, and that's where communication comes in as well. It's like, you might try something that you thought you liked and you don't. And that's okay, because you really can, you only will truly know if it is something that you're giving yourself the space to explore. And so being able to set up communication structures. So like if you're trying something and you thought it was going to feel good or that you would like it and you don't, talk about it with your partner, or partners, talk about it and process it and figure out why it wasn't for you, and recognize that there's nothing wrong with discovering that something is not for you and deciding to do something different.
For sure.
So we could pop hours. We have popped off. No, I'm like, I'm stopping myself. I'm like, I could keep going. But those are our therapy deep dive topics for today. We hope that you got something hopeful or, just something to consider or think about for your own lives. And now it is time finally for our thoughts and theories for the future. And then we will wrap up. Emily, what are your theories for the future? What do you think is coming for Odessa and Ransom?
Goodness. So I think that possibly, because this is the hard part. I don't want to be wrong. But sometimes but I do want to be wrong about some things.
Yes.
So
yes.
I am worried. I am worried that Luella gave Evie the elixir at some point.
No.
And that on this journey that her and Odessa and now stupid brother Dime, boo hiss, are on, she is going to get bit by something, and she is going to develop Lysa, which Lissa, however, that illness. And I don't want that to happen, but I think that is going to create an urgency for Ransom to actually find a cure and not just keep putting off, there's not a cure, you're gonna have to kill me, blah blah blah. Like, that's one thing I'm a little bit worried about.
Okay, now I know why you said I want to be wrong, but I don't want to be wrong. I feel similar. Like, I don't want Evie to ever experience anything bad in life ever.
Yes.
But I do think it could be a plot device to get Ransom to like kick his ass in gear. And if that happens, as long as nobody dies.
Yes.
I'm a big fan in a happily ever after. Like if I want to go and hear real life stories that don't have cohesive endings, I'll go to my job, you know? I need
100%, yes.
I need a bow on this thing, and everyone needs to be alive and nobody needs to be sad.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So another thing, I think there's going to be some kind of weird or secret alliance that Ramsay and Odessa's dad have with each other and with the Voster that explains this maybe Odessa's mom person being who was the Crux after the Crux was killed. And maybe a little bit of explaining of why there's been this shift recently.
Wait, do you think that Crux was Odessa's mom specifically?
I do.
Oh my God. See, here's what I thought, that the Crux were like a race of like red-haired, like kind of like the Valkyrie or something.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like a race of warrior women. But you think that was I
do, because when I told you at the very beginning, I want to know all of the things. Odessa was told that her mother died.
Oh my God.
Is that true? Is that okay? To be fair, I'm also reading another book right now where like that was the thought, and that's not what happened. Like, this person who was supposedly dead is not. That is coming into this mind meld, but like, I'm worried that it's Odessa's mom.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna have to contend with that. You're probably right. I don't know why. I think maybe I just so viciously didn't want it to be Odessa's mom. Like my subconscious was like, it can't be her. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. And then my last theory or thought is, I think Odessa's power, whatever the hell is going on with her, that the Voster are like, what is this? I think that her power is going to be what could potentially end the Crux, and the Voster are going to try to use her either to like manipulate or control it, or they're going to try to kill her so that the Crux cannot be stopped, and they're just trying to kind of keep everyone in line with them to be safe.
You think the Crux are like or the Voster are pro Crux? They're like, we don't want this. Oh my God.
It could be. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Why? I'm scared. I'm so scared because all of those could be plausible. Oh my God. Okay. Well, here are mine that took a little bit of a different turn, but now I'm scared. Okay. So I definitely think Voster bad guys. Yeah. Magic feel bad. Touch with magic feel bad. Odessa, follow your heart, girl. Why are you going with this man? Oh my God. I think the Voster are the bad guys, and they're going to try and subjugate Odessa, especially if she's a Crux. They're going to try to subjugate her to subjugate the Crux to use for their dastardly ends that I don't understand yet. And they're going to try to do experiments on her.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, they take the magic out of, technically, they say they take the Lyssa out of Ransom, but like, who's to say that they're not doing something else to Ransom and that they want ever more control? And if they control the Crux, they can control the whole continent. I think we're in for a world of hurt. I think that Ransom is either going to find the cure for Lyssa ultimately, but I think he's almost going to die in the process. We're going to be very scared for him before we feel relieved.
Not. This is not okay.
Yeah, no, I think we're going to be really scared for a while before he's okay. And they're going to realize that it's not a sickness, but a power, and that the Voster have been making him more sick all along. Like, they saw the power in him, and they were like, we have to control this. So they've been hurting him instead of like letting him embody his full power.
Okay.
Maybe he's like a shifter of some kind. Like maybe he's a Beowulf shifter. I just want to put that out there. And then lastly, I think Odessa's going to come into her power as a Crux. I'm going with she's a Crux and lead some of them. She's going to escape the Vossers who are doing bad shit. And she is going to lead the beasts in some kind of rebellion against the gods that were originally made for them. And the reason I think this is because they comment on the fact that Odessa seems to have an impact on FaZe, that she's really the only one
true,
who can control him and he's very dedicated to her. So I think she's going to be able to interact with the god beasts in some way because she's a god beast.
Oh, that makes so much sense, because also they had made note that she is scared that they are like attracted to her, like all of these beasts. Ooh, okay.
Yep.
I could see it.
So those are our thoughts and theories. We are trembling in our boots, and you better believe that I'm going to be up at the Barnes and Noble on April 7th or my local small book vendor to get me the second book. But I just want to say thank you so much, Emily, for going on this journey with me. It has been a blast.
It's been fun.
Oh my gosh, I loved reading it and sending you all my thoughts. I loved talking about it. This has just been so much fun. And I just really appreciate you for bringing all of your knowledge and your experience to the space today.
Thank you.
Of course. And that leads us to our final remarks and social media shout out. First and foremost, if any of today's topics were triggering or upsetting, please make sure to seek out individualized mental health treatment. And remember that this podcast is for fun. It's based on our own opinions and experiences and should not be used for diagnosing, assessing, or treating mental health conditions. The following episode at the end of January is going to cover part 2 of Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This also marks the return of Yarlin, which I am excited for, and that we get to continue our journey through the works of Sarah J. Maas in preparation for the release. Hopefully, Sarah J. Maas tells us sometime between now and forever that she's going to release ACOTAR 6. So if you'd like to support us or interact with us, please make sure to subscribe and rate the podcast on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at FayandFablesPod, or you can email us at fayandfablespod@gmail.com. Once again, a huge shout out to you, Emily, for your willingness to come on the podcast and talk about this book. Thank you so much. And we'll see you for our next episode. Bye.